Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ion Can podcast, your home for in depth discussion on the lore, the narrative, and the big ideas of the galaxy far, far away. My name is Joe, and I'm coming to you live from Star Wars Underworld, Orange County, and back from the from being under the weather is Matthew, all the way from Star Wars Underworld up north. Matthew, how are you doing this week apart from not being sick?
Well, that's just, I'm glad to be back. You and Ash handled yourselves exemplary fashion last week. I was able to give that a listen, and yeah, but I'm doing well. I'm doing better. Unlike as you saw on Tractor Beam, I lost my voice, just gave out. Hopefully, it won't give out this time. So here we go.
I
Yeah,
was
looking
there,
forward to
and it
this.
was hilarious.
Yeah,
Me and Chris were like, "Stop talking! You're gonna hit
yeah.
yourself."
My voice
No.
just stopped. Just
I
stopped.
know.
So
I know. I know.
yeah,
All right.
I'm right. I'm here.
Starting with Mask of Fear and ending with Master of Evil. I almost thought they both had Master for a second when I'm like, "Oh God."
They do. There's
I
some.
know. 2025 was a steady parade of all-time Star Wars novels. The standalones were all brilliant, only to be outdone by the High Republic's long-awaited finale, Trials of the Jedi. And since the Force moves in mysterious ways, it was a less significant year for streaming, notwithstanding Andor Season 2, and very mixed and perplexing year for comics. Also, the Skeleton Crew technically ended this year too, so I just want to add that.
Yeah.
That's me talking. Um, that all served to make novels stand out even more. With the year coming to a close, we look back on Star Wars stories from the last 12 months. Of course, if you want to follow us, please follow us on Ion Cannon Blue Sky, EYEONCANON.bisky.social, and from Instagram, Twitter. I got to figure out how to put this podcast on Instagram still because I know we can do it. Ben just has
Yeah.
not taught me how to. And of course, follow us at the Star Wars Underworld, SWU. And of
Mhm.
course, that also means follow us in the Star Wars Underworld Discord, where we did not have a game night last night because I got roped into a movie. Hopefully, we can come back with a game night either this week or maybe we'll watch something for the holidays. So be on the lookout for that.
Nice.
And as well, subscribe to the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Give us a like and also give us super chats. We will interrupt each other if you do, even mid sentence. And Matthew, what's coming up on the tractor beam next week?
Yeah, the tractor beam come up this week is, and we'll get into this a little bit. Young Jedi Adventures. There's the Trees of Kashyyyk came out.
Ooh.
Nice little one shot there. Jedi Knights number 10, likely of 10. So we'll talk about that. And from last week, Tales from the Nightlands number 3. So we're going all three different eras: High Republic prequels and sequels. Looking forward to that. That's right here on the Underworld YouTube channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, Wednesday. Chris Abbott and I breaking it all down for you. And then maybe the Marvel, I don't know. I don't think the solicits are coming out yet, but I think maybe next week. But yeah, the March solicits. But yeah, otherwise, seeing what we got coming up in 2026 as well. So yeah, it's going to be fun.
I anticipate for solicits in my life. I swear to God, like the anticipation. Like, what are the March solicits?
That's what
What's
they do.
going to happen? Do do
That's what they
do
want.
do 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 do. Or will they happen on Wednesday? Or you think this week or
I
next
thought they
week?
were. I, I think they're usually Monday. I forget. No, I forget what day they usually come. No, they come out Thursday. Is when it is.
Oh,
So
see, you guys. See again. You guys didn't schedule your podcast correctly. 'Cause now you have to. Oh, well, you always are do the
I
podcast.
know,
And like,
right?
you could talk about how there's nothing, and then the day after, it's like, oh no, there's everything. It's like, damn.
Well, there are the comic books that came out that day. Is another
Well, no,
thing,
of
but
course, of course.
you know,
So yeah.
sometimes.
All right. Well, let's begin as we normally do with our week in Star Wars. And since I'm doing the talking, I'm going to give it over to Matthew to kind of give him a week of Star Wars because he wasn't here last week, and I feel bad.
Yeah. So the idea here is what I would have said if I were there. See, I guess I'm still a little congested, I think, but anyway, I'll work through it. Yeah, I was able to give a listen to the podcast on Spotify. And if you want to listen to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we're there too. And yeah, I don't have too much to add. I want to comment a few things first on kind of the overall story flow.
Why
That I
we're
thought.
wrong. I'm sorry.
Well, no. Well, maybe some slight disagreement, but that's okay. That's allowed.
I'm kidding.
Overall story flow, and then you wanted me to hop in for the Anakin Vader stuff. Overall story flow was kind of, I mean, we're gonna get to this in a year which had all these other books. This one was kind of made for a little bit of a weaker read, only because I think a few things like how do I word this? It sort of it would have been better to build suspense for the reader to go with these characters and what they're looking at and what they're exploring. So, for example, I get why we have to know that Dooku is unearthing this ancient Sith temple at the beginning. I get we kind of need to know what's sort of going on there, but uh, I would have liked it. I think it would have been a more more engaging read. Diaphragm, Matthew. Be a more engaging read
Breathe.
if we didn't know that either yet. If we thought, okay, what are these clones doing? What are this corporation doing? Or the Sabak Galactica folks doing? What's happening here? What is Vader really after? And kind of string us along a little more. I think so the middle kind of felt like a bit of a lull in that. It definitely picked up at the end. It picked up once, I think, even once we got onto the ship and then into the temple. Yeah, I think definitely picked up. And sorry. Yeah, I'm still congested. Sorry, guys. Everything with Holland Goth, I mean, I put it in the notes. Him being the emotional core of the story was really effective, and the way you guys mentioned that. So yeah, when of course the fact that he has to die, I think, and I thought that was one of those predictable things that was effective. That often happens, right? If something's predictable, uh, doesn't mean it's bad. I say this a lot. If it's executed well, then it means it's satisfying. It means the fact that we could predict it means it was uh, really well plotted out and planned in advance. So appreciate that. And the fact that he couldn't take on Vader's suit and the technology, because that's not ultimately what's keeping Vader alive. It's his hate, is his anger. So yeah, Vader from the point of view of Holland Goth was fascinating. Loves what you guys said about the clones. Um, the trauma bonding and all that. I think Ash was saying that trauma bonded with Vader. The big thing I'll say about Vader and Anakin, I didn't quite get. Maybe I'm not sure either. I didn't get that it was a monster story, or that I did get it was a monster story. The point of a monster story is to show the humanity behind the monster. And what I really saw here with Vader was uh not not the later just all angry, all ripping through everything, just like we see in Kenobi, like we see in later comic book runs and novels, of course, like we see in in 1977 and 1980 and 1983 in those films that came out then. What we see is still, I think, well, still we have this kind of benign uh other focus creeping in a little bit, right? I thought, especially, like you mentioned how he fixes Appo's leg. He uh he lets Holland go down and rescue Nines. Didn't have to do that. Probably, what was Appo would have otherwise been later on. Think he was dead weight, maybe. But at this point, this is still Anakin believing he's doing the right thing because he's still trying to save Padme. It's Padme attempt to revive Padme number 1,000, like you said, Joel. I
guess
think
Solo is number one. Or number two at this point.
yes, in chronological, but to your point, we've seen this multiple times. The one moment of Vader fatigue I really got was when he goes down to into that pit in this kind of vision of a pit in the temple, and okay, it's Vader versus Anakin duel again. Thought, okay, this again. But that was very short lived. It was very quick, a very quick moment. And I love that it goes to Tatooine. You know, when we first see this in Kieran Gillen's comic, it's on Mustafar, which really sets the tone and the focus for every other time we see this. Sorry, guys. This is on Tatooine, where, of course, the origins of Anakin, the origins, the forge that he's fired in, the Matthew Stover, his, the dragon is fired in. So that was okay, but then again, seeing, having that, seeing the benign again, letting Holland go down to save Nines, again, the loyalty that he earns from the troops that you guys mentioned. He's still a believer. He hasn't been, yes, he's bled is like his crystal. Yes, he's about to go back to Coruscant with Red Blade and everything. But I think he's still saying that from his point of view, the Jedi are evil. And he's still, the master of evil, being maybe a master over his Jedi past. And so this is really Vader before he's been broken, which takes a while. I mean, it takes till really the Kieran Gillen comic, or at least the end of the Soul comic. So, yeah, I love seeing him in this very, very early stage, and it was really a different look to see him not be this Dark Lord, this Darth Edge Lord. It was still Anakin peeking through. Just the way Hayden Christensen talks about it, actually talked about him playing Anakin in Kenobi. Sorry, I haven't talked much today, by the way. Anakin and Kenobi. I need to warm up my voice before I do this too. See the way he playing Anakin and Kenobi, he thinks about, or playing Vader and Kenobi. Sorry, that he thinks about Anakin and then just goes to the darkest place, but it's still starting from Anakin, and that's the difference. Is later with Vader, it's starting with Vader, and Luke needs to bring him back. So, yeah, all those things definitely thought through. I thought Adam really brought those to the fore. Some plotting issues, some kind of mystery pacing issues, but all in all, a worthy. I think it earned its place in kind of the Anakin Vader canon within the canon, if you will.
Yeah, I want to just add something. 'Cause you brought up something I didn't think about until just now, and I kind of want to kind of piggyback off of that. I wonder if it had less to do with Vader respecting the troops and more like so much of the Empire has not changed yet. That's always something I always bring up about the Empire is like Empire months 1 through 6. Like, what really is the difference between the Republic and Empire
Mm-hmm.
outside of name change and maybe some flags?
Right.
And Vader still with his clone troopers. That's a sense of familiarity and comfort to him.
Mm-hmm.
Get to you know later years, all the clone troopers are more or less gone. So now Vader's with all
Mm-hmm.
these toadies and Imperial people who he could probably even care less about. So it's like,
Yeah.
not only is Vader kind of giving up, it's like the Empire just kind of like starting to like, yeah, we're gonna get rid of the clones. We don't need them anymore. Here are these officers. These
Mm-hmm.
are the loyal Imperials. We're gonna have recruited stormtroopers. And as more and more time goes on, the stormtroopers are just like, put anybody in a white armor. We don't care how well trained they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are elite forces, but it's just like
They're cannon fodder. They become cannon
they're
fodder.
cannon fodder, and Vader stops caring at that point. So
Yeah.
I also think that's kind of played into it too. I never thought about that, but that's a good
Yeah.
point. So that's just
I mean, the two are reflective of each other,
yeah.
right? That's the thing. As where the Empire is going, I mean, that's reflected in Vader's character. Well, more the other way around,
Hmm.
right? The more the more Vader becomes the villain, the more the Empire is the Empire.
Hmm.
So,
So yeah, fun times. I'll go into my week of Star Wars then,
sure.
since we have time, and something didn't happen. I thought that might happen, but no, I guess it didn't. My week in Star Wars, actually, I'm going to piggyback off of what I was just talking about a minute ago. I had something else, but I'll save that for another day.
Sure.
So one of my pet peeves, I'm going to go, this will start with the real world thing, and then we'll get to Star Wars. One of my
Okay.
pet peeves with a lot of discourse about politics and geopolitics lately is when it comes to all these dictators or authoritarians and whatnot. One of my big pet peeves is that everyone always focuses on, oh, nobody does anything because it's all fear based. They're afraid. People are afraid. Yada yada. They're kowtowed. And while I do think that there is truth to that, I can't say it's all BS. Of course, I do think that, especially with some of them, not every one of them, and we can pick out certain ones, but I think the big ones. Um, there is still a genuine sense of popularity with these people. I think that's one reason Putin's still around. Xi Jinping is very still popular, is genuinely popular in China. I mean, the Communist Party of China is very much the legitimate and
Yeah.
overall popular in China to this day. There's the reason why no one really wants to bother to do a whole freaking revolution thing, among other reasons. And like one of my big pet peeves has always been like, oh, it's all fear. The people will rise up, and like, maybe just consider that maybe these people are just popular. Have you ever thought of that? Like, just generally people like them. Like, you don't need democracy. Be darned for a second. And to go back to Star Wars, my question has always been, and it's something I kind of wish Rise and Fall could have gotten into a little bit more. Um, for how long was Palpatine genuinely popular with the wider galaxy? And I've always kind of questioned, like, for how long Palpatine genuinely was popular? Because I truly do believe that when he declared himself Galactic Emperor, Palpatine was definitely at the pinnacle of his popularity. Like, this was not like the Jedi trying to overthrow some corrupt politician that everyone hated. Like, no, Palpatine was smart and clever, and the Jedi kind of
Yeah.
did not have the read of the room a little bit here. Despite their best intent, yeah, Palpatine is the beloved Chancellor of the Republic. I mean, Revenge of the Sith novelization really goes into this with like how he was after he was captured. Like, oh no, the beloved Chancellor of the Republic. Like Palpatine was the beloved Chancellor. He was the guy standing
Right.
up to the Separatist. Um, and I've always kind of wondered, like how long did that goodwill last? Now, I kind of think it probably starts to dim right around the time of Andor, only because I think a lot of things that in the history of the quote unquote the lore kind of all culminate around that 5 BBY timeline where they start to really crack down. And also by that point, the Empire had sort of entrenched itself enough where it's sort of like, oh, we don't need to kind of be popular. We can kind of start slipping a little bit more. Hello, BoyCon1. Saying hi to the chat. But anyway, back to my point, where I think like kind of the Tarkin doctrine of like just terror through terror's sake starts to kind of win out, and where maybe Palpatine kind of starts forgetting like you kind of need to do carrots and sticks, and like he just starts going all sticks, and then when you go all sticks, then you start to lose your popularity.
Right.
Palpatine hoped that the Death Star would what's the word? I'm not substitute subsidize any shortcomings there, and then when
Yeah.
that didn't happen, it's like
Compensate.
compensate,
Yeah.
subsidize a little bit of that
Mhm.
for, and then it's like, oh shoot, kaboom, shit. Now we really have to just start cracking down everywhere,
Yeah.
and the Empire's kind of holding together. Just Palpatine, just that strong-willed guy. And then obviously by the time the second Death Star happens, it blows up again. Palpatine dies, and the whole system just kind of crumbles down because it just sort of has lost any sort of long-term legitimacy.
Yeah.
Which, I think in the real world, other authoritarians, not always, but the ones that are still here have probably done a better job kind of balancing that carrot and stick approach a lot more in the long term for various reasons. So, it's one of those things where I'm just kind of curious about, like, yeah, how long was Palpatine a genuinely popular leader, be it both as Chancellor and as Emperor? Because I do think, look, hate to say people who believe in democracy and lots of stuff like that. Just because you're an authoritarian doesn't mean your popularity is secretly 0%.
Right.
Sometimes the country's just happy to have it. Especially, I mean, like, especially if it's like, you're doing fine. Not always. I'm not gonna say that's 100% true, and
Mm,
obviously there's definitely a lot of different context to every country, which we don't have time to get into.
sure.
But never just say, "Ooh, they just it's all repression all the time." It's like, no, there's genuine love, and
Hmm.
sometimes love and fear are kind of synonymous. It's sort of like how you can both love and fear your parents at the same time. Um, depending on
Machiavelli. There we go.
that too,
Machiavelli's entered the chat.
that too. But yeah, I am kind of curious of like,
Hmm.
along with Palpatine, just a genuinely popular politician or and leader, and
Yeah.
where did that 80% start dipping to maybe
Hmm.
60, and then eventually to the very end.
Right. I mean, the more you tighten your fingers,
Uh-huh.
the more you tighten your grip, the more star systems slip through your fingers. See that 5 times fast. Yeah, I mean, Boycott makes a great point. He used the holograms. He had an amazing PR machine to to present this image, the kindly grandpa uncle image, and then of course, yeah. Well, here's the thing: we know it's what chunk of people were happy. It was the right chunk of people who were happy, and then the rest were either placated or he thought too weak to fight back.
He's probably
And
right to a good chunk to some extent.
yeah, so I mean, like well, that's the thing. And what really curious about is the seeds of the empire in the late republic, right? Like you mentioned how the transition was this gradual thing. What we know is the economic centralization in Coruscant and Alderaan and Corellia and in the core, and how that you know some folks got massive wealth, but were able to get a massive wealth, and to them the new order is actually preserving the status quo over and against this separatist threat that would have disrupted it. uh, you know uh, as exemplified by well, maybe not so much exemplified by taxation on trade routes, but like we saw in Master of Evil a little bit, the corporate interests were just became part of the imperial system. We saw that in Mask of Fear for sure. And of course, how Mon Mothma has to play to that and water down her bill and water down her approach in order to say, oh, you're not going to be as happy and satisfied as you think. So, yeah, I mean, authoritarian regimes, what they have still is a base of true believers, right? Putin has a base of true believers. This whole terrible Truth Social post that Orange Man posted about uh, uh about the Reiners. Uh, folks are that like on Truth Social. I saw that. I actually looked up. I don't have a Truth Social account, obviously, but I looked it up and like there's 7,000 likes on that thing.
Yeah, but I don't. I'm Trump's nothing. I don't even. Trump's
But
bigger than
my point is he has a base. Like people.
a
Well,
small base though.
I think to your point,
Putin.
meaning how could anybody support this man? Plenty of folks support him. It's not gonna be enough in November, hopefully. But
Doesn't look like it.
you know,
And also, just also, I want to keep in mind,
yeah,
very different context with Russia. If you knew anything about Russia in the '90s,
sure,
you know why Putin's probably still very popular
yeah,
in home.
oh sure,
You go through the national trauma of losing the Soviet Union and the superpower status, and then the '90s, which is just chaos and humiliation,
yeah,
and then Putin's like, "Oh, finally, someone sober in charge. Thank
yeah.
God."
He made Russia great again.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
Yeah,
He kind of did for a little bit.
yeah, for a little bit. So yeah, I mean yeah. I definitely, it is a good question. I think, yeah, I mean the more the true colors came out,
Mhm.
and the rebellion also ended up having a good enough PR system. Sorry to say, and they just let the empire be the empire. I mean, that's kind of Luthen's part of Luthen's whole thing is I mean that this well, here's your answer. Where did the tide turn? Gorman.
That's true.
Ultimately, I mean that was the big thing of, oh, this is what the empire is. Oh, hopefully, the idea that enough people woke up, and then Alderaan. How do you ignore that? So yeah.
Oh, I mean, true, true. I mean, here's the thing, though, and this is where I feel we gotta remind people: Star Wars is fiction. If the Empire as an authoritarian regime lasted only for 25 years, that's a quarter century. Real world authoritarians, well, I mean, Putin's been around wrong that time, maybe a little longer.
Yeah.
2000, 2025. Okay, 25 years. But, we got China, the Chinese Communist Party, been in charge since 45.
Mm-hmm.
The Osage just fell, or that was a whole civil war debacle. Um,
The
but,
Iran.
I mean, other authoritarian regimes have been around for longer if we want to count the ye old empires of yore.
Yeah.
So,
Like the British Empire, you mean, or
I mean, like Rome,
oh yeah, that
Russia,
too.
the Tsars, Russia, you
Mm-hmm.
know, different legitimacy and all that. But like, hey,
Yeah.
in the
Mm-hmm.
real world, it can go longer than 25. In fact, I'll make my last point and then we can move on.
Mm-hmm.
If we ever do another empire in Star Wars, which let's face it, we probably will one day. It's just inevitable. I want an
Mm-hmm.
empire that's been around longer than 25 years. I want one that's had like generations, like the Dune Empire, which like
Mm.
I don't know. I've never read Dune. I probably should,
Yes,
but
you should.
like I know that the empire in Dune
Mm-hmm.
is like in its 10th generation or something.
Mm-hmm.
So like
Mm.
if that empire can be
Millennia.
around,
Millennia.
okay, for millennia. So I mean, hey, the Pious Day was around for millennia. So
Yeah.
like if not maybe millennia, like a good couple hundred years, like Rome.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. News, news, news,
Yes.
news. Oh boy. Oh shoot. I just realized. Comic book news. Comic book news. Put the comic book news in there too. I want to talk about that.
Okay.
I want to do that. Let's just. I'll put the comic book news start, and then we can get to the big stuff.
Okay.
I know you guys will talk about this on track but I got thoughts.
Yeah.
I
We
got
we
thoughts.
already did. Talking about the mall.
Yeah. Yes, because we got a mall comic announced. I'm gonna called Shadow of Mall. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is a I like to call it Shadow of Mordor because it reminds me of a game called Shadow of Mordor.
That's
Um,
funny.
yeah, but we got a Maul Shadow Lord tie-in comic called Shadow of Maul,
Mm-hmm.
said to be released March 7th. At least what I thought it said. Let me. Was
Yeah.
it sale
March
on
March
March
4th.
4th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
There you go.
let's see, it's about Darth Maul rebuilding his criminal empire on this planet called Janix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when this takes place. I think this might be before the show. It is written by Benjamin Percy, who's apparently very good, who did them all black, white, and red, I believe.
Yep.
Art by Madek Musab
Madabek Muzabekov.
Musabekov, covered by
Mm-hmm.
Derek Chu.
Yeah. He did the
Ye
Legacy Vader covers.
Oh, nice. And ooh, thank you for showing these. Very, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, very interesting. A tie-in comic to the show.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is, or at least, I mean, I don't know how much it will tie into the actual show in terms of like plot, but hang on, can you say something for half a second? I gotta turn off my volume.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
definitely. Sorry, good.
There we go. I was about to say very interesting, but whether or not it ties into the show or not, or this character with the mustache comes in the show,
Yeah.
interesting. But yeah, it is interesting that they are trying to sell a comic close to
Yeah.
at least an animated release, and I think that audience is a bit more in conjunction
True.
with each other than say maybe the mainstream live action audience and the comic book
Mm-hmm.
people. Yeah, it's very cool, very interesting. We haven't done something like this in, oh my god, years. I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
and it is one of those interesting things I think about. I've been thinking about lately about because now we're kind of slowing down with content, or with screen content. With now
Mm-hmm.
that the streaming gold rush is over, um, and we're trying to kind of get back to one movie a year, and we're trying to place that out a bit of like maybe because now that they have a better idea of what they want, or what's coming down the screen pipeline,
Mm-hmm.
like way ahead of time, maybe they are able to, from production standpoint, to kind of get a few little tie-ins
maybe.
and books and comics out from time to time.
Mhm.
I don't know how much I'm expecting this to tie in with the plot, and more just a maybe there's a planet called Janix in the story, and here's like a little bit of like here's the story of how Maul set up shop here.
Mhm.
Which is if it's fine, that's fun. But yeah, I'm interested in reading this, and
Yeah.
I'm also really excited for Maul Shadow Lord. Hopefully in March
Yes.
or late February.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm showing these variants especially because uh this I really love this variant by Bjorn Barons, but also this is like Disney Lucasfilm marketing under the cowl there. Be like, what do we have cooking up? What do we have cooking up? We're not going to tell them. You know what I mean? Yeah, I definitely excited. It's the only release that's been announced. So there you go. For some reason, I thought we talked about it on Tractor Beam, but put it on the Tractor Beam Blue Sky is where I put it. But yeah, yeah. I mean, Chris and I we'll chat about it more on Wednesday. But yeah, it's exciting. It's not an adaptation, right? I didn't even in the notes. I didn't even mention the Ahsoka adaptation because who cares? The it's a tie-in,
Mhm.
right? And it's doing. I mean, it's doing what served Marvel well. Whenever there's an MCU film, they release or show they release a comic may or may not have anything to do with comics that had come before, but they released a comic that clearly is the Marvel Comics universe version of the MCU character, and they make it kind of fit in there. And yeah, and those probably sell pretty well because people are like, "Hey, I like this show. I'm gonna pick up this thing." So yeah, similar kind of thing, similar kind of idea. Here for it, whatever. Marvel, we're parched for for news, for information. So it's something at all, right? So looking forward to this. Really, yeah, really cool art, really cool design. I mean, it's the mall design, but the way uh Bjorn Burns has sculpted him, and yeah, and I mean the mall. I'm looking at the Treasury edition there of Black Red Red. Yeah, it was a great comic. So yeah, it should be
Yeah,
good.
be interesting. And also kind of give you maybe an indication that when Maul Shadow Lord's supposed to come out, either late February or
True.
somewhere in March. Which I've been
Yeah.
saying for a couple of months now.
Hmm.
In terms of bigger news, we have, of course, the game side of things. Because yes, we do consider games part of the paper canon.
Also, because you felt like talking about
Well, that too.
him.
Well, I
Yeah.
felt like we had to because I feel like this. We've talked about stuff like this before in the
Hmm.
past.
Hmm.
Because, folks, whether it happens or not, I hope it does. Hopefully before 2030, in terms as far as Casey Hudson is concerned, they're doing it. They are at least Lucasfilm is internally deciding we're going back to the old Republic, the time of the old Republic with Fotor,
Hmm.
fate of the old Republic. I love saying Fotor because I'm one weird away from saying Fartor. Um, um,
What's Fartor?
Fartor,
Is that
Fortor,
parkour?
parkour. Heck yeah, hardcore.
Parkour.
Yeah,
Sorry.
let's go. But yeah, fate of the old Republic was announced to be happening or in the works, in development at the Game Awards. This game is considered a spiritual successor to Knights of the Old Republic, not a prequel, not a sequel, but just a spiritual successor. It is said to be set in the tail end of the Old Republic era, so canon-wise, that means somewhere around 1000 BBY for you nerds out there. The game director is none other than Casey Hudson, the director of KOTOR 1 and the Mass Effect trilogy. This guy is a veteran of the industry. He's no spring chicken, although his studio is very new, but yet he himself is a vet and knows what he's doing. The game is still in early development. Some people say it might be out by 2030 because games take a long time. Casey Hudson refutes this, saying it hopefully will be out before the hand. He said that on Twitter. Brave of him, if I personally say so myself. The trailer was there as sort of a hype slash recruitment tool because a lot of the time, these trailers that we see are kind of recruitment videos to get people excited and join the team and join the studio. People are already promoting the career center. A lot of it's actually in Ontario, Canada.
Oh yeah,
Some of the
doesn't
jobs
surprise me.
are there. So if you're in Ontario, Canada, Matthew, tell your friends they can work on a Star Wars game. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, very exciting. If it comes out, of course, and I just am kind of glad that at the very least, on a conceptual level, they are willing to go back to the
Mhm.
old Republic. Very curious to see how they treat the Old Republic of Legends because the KOTOR remakes are still in development. They're
Mhm.
actually I just got an update about that recently of how they how the game is now with another studio that's not Aspire but still part of a different group. They're working who worked on the Razorhead game, which apparently having a lot of good buzz, so that's exciting.
Mhm.
So that's still in development as well. Um, so they're still working on it. So it's not dead yet, folks. Yeah, and I'm very curious to see if this game comes out, like how's it gonna treat the Old Republic? How's it gonna treat the Knights of the Old Republic?
Mhm.
Is this a chance to recanonize certain things while keeping other things vague? In the trailer, we see what looks like a Sith interdictor from the KOTOR 1 game, which is basically the Sith
Right.
Star Destroyer. Some people think it's Malak's ship, the Leviathan itself. Um, so, don't have much, but again, it's kind of cool that the very least that they are opening up this era
Mhm.
of storytelling. And funny enough, in video games, where even though technically, yes, the Old Republic started with the Tales of the Jedi series in the 90s, thanks to you, Tom Veitch, Old Republic got popular because of video games.
Yeah.
So I found that at least very interesting. Matthew, what are your thoughts? Maybe less from like the gaming side, because
Yeah.
but more from like what could this mean for canon? What do you think we'll see? Will we see Moment and Bane? Maybe they're already hidden or dead.
Mhm.
All those thoughts and more.
First of all, Arcano Studios. I'm trying to figure where this is. I don't know. I'll find that out later.
I'll find
Yeah,
it
I
while
mean,
you talk. I'll find
yeah,
it.
definitely. I mean, I found the
Somewhere in
website, but
Canada.
somewhere around here. I mean, I know. Well, Bioware was in Edmonton. And Casey Hudson and Drew Carpathian are from the Edmonton area. Um, yeah, the fact that again they're opening up, Lucasfilm continuing to open up.
Edmonton, I think, is formed in Edmonton.
Yeah,
Okay.
which makes more sense. That's not in Ontario. That's in Alberta, but that's right. Uh, and that's where Bioware was, so that makes sense. Yeah, again, the Lucasfilm is willing to say yes. We are open publicly to telling a story in this time. Um, to and it's clearly involving space wizards,
Mhm.
right? The trailer there or whatever teaser involved a lightsaber, so you guess that it's a space wizard of some sort. Um, yeah, I will. It's the race head rule. It's the That's good that they're thinking this direction. Good that they're willing to open up this direction. Yeah, like you said, it's bold of him to say 2030 is the outside limit.
He said before 2030, so
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm like, we'll see, we'll see. The thing with video games seems to me lately, especially video games, is the human variable, namely what happened to that other game that shall not be named.
Eclipse
The,
is actually supposed to still be happening. So
yeah, but that was more than 5 years ago, right?
yeah, but it might still happen. And at this point, let's face it, most people don't care about that whole thing. I think it's all.
I know, but my point there is it really can gunk up the works, right? It can
Oh yeah, there is.
make internal operations grind to a halt because yeah, they're promoting recruitment. If you get a reputation for being toxic AF, you don't want to work there.
Actually,
And
no,
it's
I hear they're actually getting lots of staff. So I.
okay, well that's good, but will they retain them? And that's the question. So again, I don't know. Star Wars video games over the last 20 years, 10 years especially, has been this. It's been worse than the films, frankly. And
Well, that's
so,
Lucasfilm fault, or that's just the gaming industry being
well, it's
terrible.
kind of both, right? That's what I'm getting at. Is it's both.
Like
So
that
I'm cautiously hopeful that this one can get off the ground. It seems complicated. It seems um, elaborate, and that's a good thing. I mean, I love the aspiration. I
a
love the
single player RPG customizable experience
yeah,
with choices.
yeah. So and curious to see again what kind of story things this opens up, because I mean that's the thing, like you mentioned, that I'm mostly interested in. I'm not a gamer. I'm not going to play this game. I'm not going to buy it.
I'm sure
But
Chris will have more to say because he made a whole video about this.
yeah, so
He knows
he is
games
the
better than I do.
gamer. So yeah, but I mean, definitely again, that they're Lucasfilm saying yes and saying yes to uh Argonaut publicly announcing this. That seems to be the biggest story for me.
Mhm. Argonaut's a new studio, so that's why people think it's going to take a while because they're still a brand new
Sure.
studio. But the nice thing is they're not owned by EA or any big conglomerate, so
Yeah.
they're indie, so they can kind of all they have to do is be worried about Lucasfilm shutting them down at this
Yeah.
point. While
Yeah.
all the other gaming studios are like, part of some big conglomerate
Yeah.
thing or EA, uh, or a Chinese thing, uh,
Hmm.
and eventually the Saudis.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
who knows? I hope it doesn't take till 2030. It
Yeah.
probably will at least still take a good 4 to 5 years to make because games are
Hmm.
expensive and big,
Yeah.
and especially a game that's going to be big and elaborate. We think.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope it is. I mean, I game for
Yeah.
the stars. I say,
Hmm.
if that takes 10 years, go for it,
Sure.
man. I mean,
Says yeah. So good.
if Avatar, the first to second Avatar took 10 years, and that was fun.
Yeah. And
Uh,
yeah, I got my ticket on Saturday.
oh yeah,
Says it's headquartered in Edmonton with additional offices in Kelowna, BC. So
well,
good Canadian prairie spots. There we go.
you got your ear to the ground then.
No, it's the
Um,
other side of the country, Joel. You're closer
ow.
to Kelowna than I am. You're
Oh
closer to
damn.
Edmonton than I am.
Oh damn. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you have any friends who got their ear to the ground?
Yeah, I do actually have friends in Edmonton.
Okay,
But
so now you gotta
yeah.
call them and like, hey, I need you to do me
Yeah.
some reconnaissance for me.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I hope this. I mean, I hope this one happens.
Yeah.
Definitely, this is probably something you and Chris should talk about because he probably knows the score.
Yeah.
About how all these games come together.
Mm.
Um, and whatnot. Because like, yeah, I still hear things that something they're just in the works and like just people just don't understand the gaming industry. Which hey, that's why we
Yeah.
don't talk about it because I don't understand it. I understand the movie industry a little bit better and why movies are happening now.
Hmm.
Um, I just think sometimes narratives get bogged down that like people say like, oh, Star Wars movies. It's like I think people just don't understand what's going on. Why
Hmm.
those things are just making stupid claims.
Yeah, it's
Um,
possible.
it's sort of like how like I don't think the whole eclipse thing is actually just usual cancel culture stuff mixed with people, you know,
Hmm.
on Twitter being weird.
Who knows?
It's still happening apparently. So and apparently they're almost we share stuff soon. So who knows? Um, but in terms of other games, apparently there will be another game coming out next year apart from Zero Company. It's called Zero Company, right? Um,
Oh yeah.
that was not supposed to be. That's also 2026. But apparently another game announced at the Game Awards
Hmm.
coming out. Uh, Star Wars Galactic Races, set in the post-Endor era. It is about the racing community trying to rebuild the glory of pre-imperial racing. And that is being spearheaded by none other than Sebulba. Yes, old man Sebulba, still alive. He outlived Anakin. Take
That's
that.
true.
When you realize Sebulba lived longer than Anakin. That's that somewhere in the post-Endor sequel era, you'll get to race on new planets,
Hmm.
Jakku, all that stuff. I didn't write down who was making this game, unfortunately, but I think it's made by some people who make some very good racing games. And they're gonna be Pod Racer. I'm excited because I love racing games. Star Wars has needed a racing game for a while. It's supposed to be on the next gen for PlayStation 5.
Hmm.
And yeah, um, I love racing games. So Uh, Star Wars needed a racing game since Pod Racer, and I'm glad we're getting a new one that's not
Mhm.
VR, so that's nice.
Yeah, that's true.
Any
Yeah,
thoughts on this one?
yeah. This one looks fun. This one I actually was considering if my PS4 can handle it. Maybe it's not pod racing in the traditional way. It's speeder racing, which
There will be Pod Racers apparently in
there,
this.
I'm sure there will be pod races, but it's also uh, a wider range of vehicles and yeah, different environments and different things. So yeah, it looks exciting. Looks great. This one, I mean, they've given a date or at least a year, 2026, which is in a few weeks, but probably I'm sure later on. But yeah, looking forward to. So that's like I have the episode one, the remake of it, the episode one racer. I got the remake of that episode two, Racer Revenge, for some reason. It was $10 cheaper. um, but yeah, this one looks exciting, especially I mean, if they tell us what happened with this especially dangerous Doug Sabola, that'd be funny. It was just so funny. Yeah, it's true. He survived. He outlived Anakin, which is after everything that happens at the Boon to Eve. Pretty funny. So yeah, also an interesting little world building point in the trailer of that the Empire shut it down. The Empire shut down all this racing as best it could. But now that the Empire is done, uh New Republic's like, eh, sure, just clean
Or
up
they
after
just,
your
or they
messes.
don't have that much control, so they just like,
Yeah,
oh, we can't even do anything, even if we didn't want to.
yeah, they can't do anything about it. So they have this guy like, now that the Empire is gone, we can go back to the glory days, the good old days where people uh chuck screwdrivers into their engines to make them explode. But you know,
You know,
uh
I'm just gonna
yeah, there you go.
say that just shows how incompetent the Empire was. Because, like, I was saying something, I was reading
True.
somebody on podcast talk about this, like, oh, authoritarian regimes hate sports because that's gathering place. It's like, buddy, have you ever seen Rome?
Yeah.
All authoritarian regimes love sports. It's like the one thing they allow. Like, that's the best
North Korea has
distraction.
sports. North Korea
Every
has international sports teams.
everyone has sports. Every authoritarian regime has sports. I mean, look at Rome used sports to distract the masses. That was the
Yeah.
whole point. So it's like, what are you talking about? You think the empire would be like, yeah, fund all the bad, horrible sports of
Mhm.
death and gladiators? Palpatine can distract the masses and go,
Yeah. Bread and circuses.
like, see, that shows that the most incompetent ones are the ones who are like, no, shut it all down, purity culture, man. Like,
Interesting. Yeah.
shut it all down, man. It's like when you take away someone's sports,
Mhm.
like you are screwed. Like never
Yeah.
mess with people's sports. That is society telling me that.
Yeah.
All right.
I will say though, I mean, sports is getting more and more political. I mean, it's always been political.
I mean, we had Roman sports teams that were political parties
Right.
basically in the ye old times. Ever heard of the
Yeah.
Deans?
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
it was a means of execution too.
that's it.
Yeah.
You can have fun with your execution, folks.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
now back to the year of our Morse gods, 2025, with the
Mhm.
Star Wars 2025 look back. Matthew, I think you wanted to handle the
Well, yeah,
discussion.
but if you want to start,
Okay.
maybe we'll start off with saying, what are our overall sense, what are our overall sense of uh the year that was. It's December 15th. We're calling it.
Yeah, that's when we're in.
There's a few more comics coming out, but by and large, we made it through the year 2025.
Woo!
And so yeah, looking back on the year of Star Wars, very, as I mentioned up top, very interesting, interesting year in different ways. But yeah, Joel, I'll ask you first off, what are your overall thoughts? What's the kind of the sense of things of Star Wars, paper,
Yeah,
screen, etc. in 2025?
I would say across the board, and I wrote this down.
Yeah.
So I'm not clever in thinking of because at the top of my head. I would say the theme and the vibe of this year is one of transition, or I call it cleaning house,
Hmm.
and a lot of placeholding until we reach the new epoch of the franchise, which I think starts next year. In all honesty,
Hmm.
because we have the cleaning up of the streaming shows with the gold rush of streaming with Skeleton Crew and Andor, kind of being those
Hmm.
last two shows made in that kind of gold rush of like streaming
Yeah.
for everybody, streaming forever, and that only lasts really until 2023, really. Um, Obviously, we have the end of the High Republic, which was sort of the last 4 to 5 years of publishing, really,
Mhm.
give or take a few. Um, and especially on the comic side, this is where I think the comic
Yeah.
side felt the most like this. A lot of placeholding, a lot of like, I mean, maybe I could be wrong. I might change my tune next year, but a
Mhm.
lot of like, I feel like they're just holding place until next year when things really start to ramp up again, Star Wars wise.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything we got was bad or anything like that. Far from it, across the board. But I do feel like there was a lot of just kind of wrap up the stuff from kind of the last big era of Star
Mhm.
Wars making stuff, and hold in place until next year, where I think kind of a reset kind of
Mhm.
happens. So that's why I think about those things. So yeah, that's kind of my vibe.
Yeah. Um, I forgot about Tales of the Underworld.
Oh yeah, that was fun too.
Thanks for reminding us, Brandon. How's it going?
And Visions too. I didn't put Visions,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Visions was great. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the things that, I mean, I didn't forget, but I forgot to mention the notes. I forgot that it
I
came
actually
out this
forgot
year.
about Tale of the
It's
Underworld
been
this
a
year.
long year. It's been a long year, guys. It's been a good year, but a long year. Yeah, I say overall, I agree with your thought there. This transition, especially for, well, for everything really, and we'll get into how. But the first thing when I think about 2025 and Star Wars, the first thing I'm going to think about are the novels and the standalone novels and Trials of the Jedi that came out. Just like I said, you said at the top and I wrote at the top, the steady parade of bangers. It just one after another. Some of the all-time greats came out this year, which is great. And then of course Andor season 2, you know, which is another all-time great. So amidst those rising to the top, and then everything else being kind of in this limbo of what's happening, what are we doing, what's going on, and also the transition. So we'll get into all of that. Let's dive into all of that now. Um,
I want to just kind of clarify
yeah,
something
go for it.
before we
Hmm.
go. Is that before we start? Is that
Yeah,
I say that because
yeah,
it's gonna sound kind of a little bit demeaning of these stories. Is
hmm,
that I mean not all of them. I think Mask of Fears obviously started with
yeah.
trilogy. But it's like you know, Andor, I just don't feel like is the future because it's like I just don't think they're
No,
gonna build
it's
off of
done.
that anytime soon. High
Yeah,
Republic ended, although they probably will continue that eventually.
hmm,
Maybe just not in a while. I mean, they are. I mean, they're
yeah,
doing some little mini comics, which are kind of well, they're in between phases 2 and 1, but
hmm,
that is still.
hmm.
And then of course with the comics, it's like, is anything gonna get built off of next year? Or are we starting fresh?
Right.
Probably as long as the writers keep coming back. So
Yeah.
that's
So
kind
we'll
of my
definitely
one.
get into that at the end for the comics question. But let's start with screen news.
Ew. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
forgot. I saw
Revenge of the
this
Sith.
year too.
Yeah,
I
so much
forget.
happened this year. It's true. It's weird. Of all the
Thank
different,
you.
maybe this is the kind of the point is that was there one kind of major thing that happened? No, not really. It was a whole bunch of other things.
I feel like Andor
Some,
came
yeah,
close.
Andor came close. I agree. But yeah, a whole bunch of other things. I will say so. Yeah, let's start with screen news, and the screen happenings here. So, like you said, you end of the gold rush of the streaming era. Skeleton Crew started in December, so it counts as this year effectively. And yeah, we mentioned Andor season 2, and the way I describe it, because you're talking about Andor being the past.
Mhm.
This was the beginning of the end. Not the beginning, the end of the end of Star Wars is a streaming franchise
Mhm.
experiment.
Exactly.
This was, I mean, Mandalorian season 3 was kind of the beginning of the end. This year really wrapped it up, and what a way to wrap it up. I mean, Skeleton Crew and Andor were spectacular. Um, but instead, Star Wars Celebration Japan, which also happened this year, in April, it ramped up the excitement for Mando and Grogu primarily, and more excitingly, it announced Starfighter,
Yeah.
with Sean Levy directing, London, Ontario's Ryan Gosling starring, and it's setting being set after the Rise of Skywalker, and that's coming out 2027. Maul Shadow Lord was announced this year too, of all the things. And yeah, and we had
Ahsoka
some
season 2 is still happening, which that's still going.
yeah. What's still going? Sorry.
Ahsoka season 2,
Yeah,
sorry.
Ahsoka season 2 is coming. But I
Yeah.
mean that's this coming year. So I'm just saying. So yeah, I mean the real kind of wrap up of
Mhm.
this, right? I mean Andor being going from this Andor season 2 to 5, from 2 to 5 just to 2,
Mhm.
being truncated like that. We mentioned Visions, which I actually haven't seen all of yet. Vision season volume 3 and Tales of the Underworld. Again, these shorter little bits, which are great. Tales of the Underworld was great, but it's these 15-minute shorts, right?
Right.
So
Probably around 22 minutes, I think.
yeah, okay, fair
Around.
enough. 20-ish minutes shorts.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, talk about transition. The big transition was, uh, we were a streaming franchise. We are a film franchise. We're back to being a film franchise above all.
Whoop, whoop.
And one of the ways exemplified this, Brandon here has this great render. The GOAT in theaters, and going back to theaters to see a Star Wars. There will be Star Wars in theaters every year, right? I wouldn't be surprised if
Hopefully.
Rogue One. We got to have Rogue One coming at 10 coming up, but we did have Force Awakens at 10. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, clearly the energy for screen, and that's where the money and the push and everything.
Mhm.
Getting Sean Levy and Ryan Gosling costs a pretty penny. So yeah, that's clearly the big story there.
I would argue
Yeah,
even
go ahead.
it's not even just the energy for screen. I agree with you. I also
Mhm.
just say the energy of the storyline. 'Cause, like,
Yeah,
again, I said I don't feel like anything in Andor is really gonna be built off of anytime
yeah.
soon. Whereas, Mandalorian, probably more of a standalone movie. Obviously, is still part of the Mandoverse.
Mhm,
Ahsoka season 2, I do think is prepping us for that Filoni film.
mhm.
That's happening. Hopefully, going to happen. And Starfighter, and this is where Starfighter gets very exciting for
Yeah.
everybody, is setting up and while I do think it's going to be still a standalone movie, and they're very much emphasizing this is a standalone movie, people, you know, but I do think in kind of a grander meta way, it is setting up the post Exegol Tross episode 9
Mhm.
era,
Yeah.
and I think they're starting to move their film resources to like, okay, we're gonna focus maybe screen more or less on the Mandoverse era, which is probably wrapping up to some extent, and then
Mhm,
also really start to build out this post episode 9 with Ray movie, with the Starfighter, with the Kinberg trilogy,
mhm,
which probably is not gonna be for several more years. Um, and kind of really start to have because those things
mhm,
are more likely to have to be built off upon than Andor and Skeleton Crew. Although
mhm.
maybe we'll get a Jod cameo. That's always a possibility. But
Yeah.
those things are more likely to be built upon in the future than Andor. Any storylines from Andor. So I don't expect
Yeah.
little baby Cassian and old lady Bix, and old Mama Bix show
Yeah.
going on. But that'd be fun. Or I would love to see Vel and Mon's cousin Kim back. But I
Yeah.
just feel like that's where now the story energy is in terms of build off the Mandoverse.
Mhm.
That's sort of the last vestige of the old streaming era storyline wise,
Sure.
and the new post and Exegol era is
Mhm.
coming and going to be built upon moving forward.
I mean, so first off, a few things. Like first of all, with Andor, it did what it was meant to do. Tony Gilroy did what it set out to do of going from this kind of prestige, gritty, anybody can come into. I mean, anybody can still come into it. Uh, story into it ended up. Oh, this is a Star Wars, guys.
Mhm.
This is Luthen and to a lesser extent saw kind of falling away, and the moral ambiguity of it kind of falling away, and Cassian really committing to the cause. Right, we meet him at the beginning of Rogue One. He is committed to the cause now, and this show brought him to that point and to the cause, namely the rebellion against the Empire, this main plot of the original trilogy. So it brings it up to, I mean, there's no more story to go. It's Rogue One, and then it's A New Hope, right?
Right.
So yeah, I agree. It's also that that Starfighter and some of the paper canon releases this past year and into next year, they're no longer, was there, I mean, here's maybe an interesting question. Was there a reticence, was there a hesitation to go into the sequel era, after the Last Jedi reaction, everything? They're all, okay, let's just hold off, maybe to say they
No, I
wanted
think
to
that was
wait.
more after Rise of Skywalker, and I honestly
Yeah,
think a lot of that has less to do with the reaction
sure.
and more to do with Lucasfilm trying to be like, "What the heck are we trying to? What the heck was kind of even the point of half of this?" Because we were so confused
Yeah.
ourselves about like, well, Palpatine. Although it definitely. Well, that's
Mhm.
kind of the weird thing. Is like I want to say yes and no because
Yeah.
the funny thing is, the minute Rise of Skywalker is out, Mando season 2 comes along. Already, we're getting hints of cloning.
Yeah.
Bad Batch comes out, hints of Palpatine cloning.
True.
Shadows of the Sith was 2022. That's a sequel trilogy thing.
Yeah.
Then we kind of get more of a pause, with the exceptions of stuff like Bad Batch and Project Necromancer, but it's definitely kind of there.
I mean, those are
And
implied though.
it's
Like, I
implied.
mean, specifically stories set in the sequel trilogy with sequel era
Yeah, that definitely starts
characters.
this year. That
Yeah.
definitely starts this year, with the exception of Shadow of the Sith, which 2022. There was there was definitely like a 22, 23,
Yeah.
24 2-year gap.
So yeah, I mean, Starfighter, this announcement and this energy. Yeah, there's the focus, like you said, but also, I mean, the focus on in the Mandoverse on Mando and Grogu and on the Filoni film. No, those are new. That's another part of it. Right. That we know, okay, Ahsoka season 2, that's continuing the
Right.
story.
Although Raid,
Uh
sorry, I just want to say
yeah,
Raid New Jedi Order was announced in 2023. So
sure. Yeah.
there we go.
But those are seeming more likely now.
Right.
That now that we're starting with Starfighter. Still with the Rayside rule, even with Starfighter, but that seems like it's a likely thing too.
Well, they're
So
making it. So they're actually filming the damn.
yeah, so that seems more likely too. If anyone doesn't know what the Rayside rule is, our buddy Hannah Rayside, she's all, I'm gonna believe a Star Wars film is happening when I'm in the theater. In my version of this is in the theater, I've already mowed down half a bag of Mars bars, and the crawl's coming up. that's basically, we'll believe it when we see it. But yeah, we can also say what's likely and what's not. So
All right.
so yeah, definitely a big transition. Any more thoughts on screen?
I like Tales of the Underworld. I was saddened to see, no animated series this year, but I guess that's what next year's for.
Yeah.
So, because
True.
I think Bad Batch ended in 2024, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And obviously
So
the
what is time? What is linear time?
I know,
Guys?
right? Like I feel like the only like one. I mean, the kind of the big thing that kind of was one of the few. Okay, I can see stuff being built upon this in the future.
Mhm.
Okay, maybe a little bit Tales of the Underworld too.
Yeah.
Is of course, ironically enough, Visions, where yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna get a full on series
Mhm.
in next year with Ninth
Yeah.
Jedi. So that was
Yeah.
kind of the thing screen wise
Mhm.
that was going to be built upon. I hate to kind of drag this on a little bit, but isn't it
Yeah.
kind of sad that we as fans kind of need things we built upon, just can't enjoy them? I almost feel like I'm saying Andor is not
Mhm.
good because it's nothing's going to get built upon from it, at least not in the near future.
I mean,
And
I didn't hear that as a expression of quality. I just, in terms of where the energy, if we're trying to kind of,
yeah,
forecast and sense where
right.
Lucasfilm's energy is.
No,
Um,
absolutely. It's
yeah,
Mandoverse and Starfighter now.
Andor season 2 is unimpeachable. Like,
That's true. That's
that's,
true.
you know,
But yeah, we can kind of
yeah,
go to the book side, which
yeah,
I will say does have that energy to it to some
yeah,
extent.
yeah.
But in like different ways.
Before we do that, let's answer this one. We're gonna
Oh,
pick up our favorites at the end, but also, I mean, the Cad Bane ones were really emotionally gripping, but I mean, Ventress is a space wizard. I'm gonna like Ventress, and the way they dealt with what's the novel that was of the
Dark Disciple.
that one, the way they dealt with that was great.
I
So
think I
yeah,
like Cad Bane's better because I just felt Ventress is kind of with a little too much of a tease
interesting, interesting.
to a show that's not happening, at least
Yeah,
not
that's
yet.
true. Speaking of beginning of the end, well, though the end, but the end of the end, whatever. This was the big one. I mean, the High
It's over.
Republic.
Go home. Kidding.
It's done. Sort of.
It's
The High
over.
Republic coming to its thrilling conclusion.
Hmm.
So I and this I actually ended up listing out all the books here. So Claudia Gray's Into the Light came out in April, the young adult one. Calvin Scott's Fear of the Jedi and the finale one shot comic. Daniel Jose Older's Battle of Variadu, and I think Alyssa Wong had a one shot in there too. Justina Ireland's A Valiant Vow, the May Young Reader. And then, of course, as mentioned, Charles Soule's Trials of the Jedi came out in June, adult novel. And I gotta say, and I've said this before, I'll say it again, they really did it. They actually did it, especially Charles, wrapping up the sprawling, massive story that was years in the making, years in the writing, uh, in a brilliant way, and especially Trials tying together so many character journeys, both character journeys and the lore undergirding the story in convention fashion. Even our logo, our beloved logo, which we're going to keep, Markian, that guy, his character, you care for Markian at the end. Like, come on. So that, I mean, that's what an achievement to actually finish it so well the way they did. Um, and yeah, especially with Trials. Also, Kiev, my girl Kiev, leaving the order in a way that flowed perfectly from last year's High Republic comic and in the audio drama. That she wants the Jedi to be proactive. She wants it to uh, be the folks who would go save Skier if he's in trouble, and they just aren't anymore. And so, reflecting that, and then of course celebration and other places they mention phase more. So yes, the story is over, but there are going to be there's story threads that couldn't fit into this Jedi versus Nile tapestry or the time frames, the very short time frames. Phases 1 and 3 are but what 3 years, and phase 2 is like a year.
The High Republic era is like 500 years long.
Yeah, and so many characters and so many different things, and so many different possibilities and plot beats, including in a few months, Pathfinders, kind of phase 2-ish, phase 2.1, 2.2, or maybe even earlier. I don't know, around there. So, is yeah coming out. So that still have the Broken Blade, the Charles Soule comic that he's teased. I don't know if that's going to be a comic. But we know he wants to incorporate that story somehow. Yeah, lots of different things that they could do. That I'm glad they're giving it a bit of a break, but lots of different things that they can pick up. A lot of story beats that may or may not affect the way we understand this whole Nile saga, but just because again it's wrapped up so convincingly. But yeah, that's 2025 also in Star Wars is a major thing. The most ambitious Star Wars publishing to date, going all the way back to 19 to Splinter of the Mind's Eye to now, more than NJO, more than um oh gosh,
Well, NGO is 18 books.
yeah, only 18 books. Come on. This was like 50.
How many books
Something.
was there actually? That's a good question. Was it
No, it
really?
wasn't 50, but
I
like
feel like it's like 23. I
yeah,
want.
something like that. Yeah, and then all the comics and different things. So, but just this one good story on all these different levels, different ways of different media, different genres, everything is. And again, I'm gonna repeat it. They really did it. They really wrapped it up. So, um, another thing, say another bit of moment of transition too, right?
Mhm.
That's another reason why we don't know what's happening with comics. The novel releases announcements aren't for 2026 aren't that much. Um, but yeah, because High Republic really filled the load of that on both, and so
I mean, it always felt the load on books too, just in
yeah,
general, right?
yeah,
Like, I mean, I guess I'll start talking.
yeah,
How
yeah. So yeah, go for it. What do you think of High Republic coming to its conclusion 2025?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, look, I've said before, I think it ended just at the right time, just before it started to outstay its welcome. Um, for
Yeah,
sure.
I can see that.
Uh, you know,
Mhm.
every 4 years, that's like an entire presidency. Uh, that's before you have to decide, do you want to continue or not?
Mhm.
You know, um, but yeah,
Yeah,
it definitely. I mean, unlike say what I was talking about earlier, I mean, this one I definitely know that this one will probably won't like continue right away, and I kind of hope they take a
mhm.
long break from story arcs or threads and kind of just focus
Yeah,
on other things now. Um, but you can definitely, again, like I said, this is definitely an end
yeah,
transition. For certain as well. And again, like I said, this is very much a good chunk of the comics and books all came from this thing.
yeah.
Um, although I do feel like we're kind of repopulating the book, at least the book side of things, with like the Ray book next
Hmm.
year, and the um, obviously we've got the Reign of the Empire books coming up, and
Hmm.
we got the Mike Chen book and the thingy,
Yeah,
and the romance novel. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting because, like, again, the publishing had kind of just been this,
yeah,
almost so much of this. It's kind of amazing to kind of some extent. I- and yeah, I mean, I love Trial of the Jedi. I think that was my favorite of the High Republic this year.
yeah,
Period. Really impressed. Really impressed how much I was able to read, how well paced it was too.
yeah.
Um, how it ended, and I thought that was great.
Hmm.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah, and it's over.
Yeah,
And again, I do think they'll build up on those story arcs one day. I'm a little more confident in that. I
hmm,
don't think it's going to happen right away, and so that's why I
hmm.
feel like, again, the energy is kind of like, well, we're kind of ending this. We're heading into the new epoch and a new
Sure.
creative focus.
Yeah, I mean, I can see them one day. I mean, they need to do Claudia needs to do Lost Stars 2 first, but I can see Charles one day saying, "Yeah, and we're going to tell the story. In 10 years, we're going to
What
tell the
happened to
story."
Aslan Rel? What happened to him
Oh
next?
yeah, I got to tell the Wreath Aslan story, but also it's Charles one day saying, "Okay, yeah, uh, Avar and Elzar, you know, the galaxy has been healed of the from the death of the Shrikerai. Let's let's liberate you. Let's bring you back into the galaxy."
Oh, I just
Yeah.
assumed they died
Well,
and
maybe
in
they
the
die. Maybe they die of old age. That's probably the implication. But maybe or some story in there. There got to be some story in there that kind of picks up
what were the Sith
on.
doing during all of this? I want to know. That's the
Yeah,
story I want.
that's another question
Add
there.
Christopher. Let's get some OC Sith involved, please.
Yeah, there's another question there. Also, to say, I mean, way. Well, here's the thing, Joel. Could you have predicted that the whole thing with the Shrieker Eye and their death bringing everything out of balance, and it's the blight and everything, and so in order to heal the galaxy, you have to have Avar and Elzar kind of keeping things in balance until they pop up again. All the dogs
Or
come
never,
back.
or
I
never
mean,
do.
like I could not have predicted. You couldn't have predicted that. Like we were always
I
still
think I
wondering.
probably could if I thought about it hard enough and like looked back. Like
Yeah,
maybe you could.
but like they kept us in suspense. I think kept us in. How are they getting out of this one till
Mhm.
the end? And it was, I think, again recapturing what I was saying. It was a force mysticism on the level of the world between worlds and Mortis, right? It was one of those galaxy spanning stakes, and that undergirds Markian's whole hubris of wanting to be the only important person in the galaxy, and then it had to go that far, and therefore this heartbreaking mystical story with Eva and Elzar and the Shrieker Eye uh, coming to an end, or being the way forward. And yeah, it was, and that's the thing. Here's the wild thing. I mean, they had that figured out. 2020, they had that figured out from the beginning, and that's how you do it. You figure out the ending first, and then you plot everything back.
I don't know if I 100% agree with that, but
well, no, it's not the only way to do it, but it's something this big, something this sprawling. I think they had to have had that nailed down pretty quickly, pretty soon.
I want to see how any of this effect would have, like, you can tell a story that from the High Republic that sort of affects the 100 years or 200 years later. Like,
yeah,
do the Nameless ever come back? Do people even remember them? I know there's like a little Nile contingency. There's Nile contingency groups around during the Empire, but they're kind of nothing.
Right. I mean, there's maybe the Cloud Riders. They joined the rebellion. Maybe there's a story there. I mean, the Cloud Riders.
I don't think they have anything to do with the High Republic.
No, but there's this neat implication that they're this thread from the Nile. I mean, they wear the masks. They have this cloud imagery.
Oh, I never got that sense.
Really? A lot of people have. A lot of people did.
No, because I don't think the High Republic was even a thing when they were making.
No, but you can kind of you can spin that if you want, right? That's the thing. A lot of people do. So I'd like to see a story that officially makes that claim and says, okay, we had in part of our heritage is this rebellion, and so maybe some inspiration recovering what Planet X was. It's possible. All that to say, this is going to stand the test of time as one of the great achievements in Star Wars storytelling, Star Wars publishing, and yeah, it came to an end in 2025. So that's another thing to think about with this year is this is when it all came home. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention also. It's in the sub notes here. Acolyte tie-ins. Tessa Gratton's Crystal Crown came out in July, and Justina Ireland's Wayseeker came out in May. And so, yeah, that's sort of Phase more a little bit, but also kind of well, I think Wayseeker. I haven't actually read Wayseeker yet. It's on my reading list. It's early on my 2026 reading list. That is more Phase more because it deals with Fenestra, but Crystal Crown, yeah, just in the ether in there. So yeah, that's High Republic. And any last thoughts on that one before we move on ahead?
Nope. End of the High Republic for now.
Yes, for now. Well, and end of the initiative, end of the story. There you go.
Yeah.
Lastly, again, I've not lastly, two more chunks of things to talk about. Things we've mentioned already. I mentioned off the top multiple times. The brightest spot, I'd say, alongside the High Republic were the standalone novels. A great year for Star Wars novels, or the greatest year. Started off again. I'm going to use this word. I just love this phrase. Started off with an all-time banger. Alexander Freed's Mask of Fear in February. With Mon Mothma, Bail, and Saw, and the birth of the rebellion, as it is. So I mentioned the High Republic wrapping up, and then comes Lamar Giles' Sanctuary Bad Batch novel, almost out of nowhere, and that dug deep into the lovable and complicated Clone Force 99 that came out in August, and it was an adult novel on Clone Force 99 on the Bad Batch, which gave it a different angle.
Can I just say,
yeah,
I think that might be. I don't want to say I'm not going to make the claim yet. It's my favorite because of that. I'm going to think about stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I will say, I really liked that one because of just how surprised I was.
Yeah, yeah. We'll take a stab at our favorites at the end, just as best we can. But there we go. Kwame Mbalio's uh, Last Order came out in October, and there was a YA novel that gave us Finn and mostly Janna's heroic anti-trooper, stormtrooper origin stories. Really gave us Janna's. Um, so yeah, and that again another really nice surprise. Although maybe not so much of a surprise, but another example of sequel era. Here you go, sequel era. Uh, we're going for it. And finally, as mentioned, Adam Christopher bringing us a tale of surprising pathos and tragedy in Master of Evil. And that came out in November. I did finish it in December. So I finished it in November, but I got sick. There we go. So again, um, Mask of Fear, Bad Batch, Sanctuary, Last Order, those three especially. Acolyte Wayseeker, again, heard really great things. Those four, I mean, any other year might have been the best novel of the year. Especially, I mean, Mask of Fear was maybe it's definitely one of the best political novels in Star Wars all time. And I agree. Like, Bad Batch was surprisingly deep, surprisingly getting into the conflict, getting into really the eternal conflict in Hunter. I think, of between he was the leader of the squad, and they picked this moment just after season 2, and Tech is gone. No, Tech's still there. Just before the end of season 2. So Tech is there, but just as the show is really getting its maturity, gotten its legs, and to say, oh yeah, he's not necessarily the leader, and Fee, this outsider, this not even a clone, having a say in calling the shots. And so I really loved it. Was really I really loved the way it went into that character story, and of course this other clone having a kid, what happens there, and what that brings up for the Bad Batch, and even Wrecker having more character moments, and of course Omega being Omega. So yeah, definitely I agree with the surprise there. These really poignant character stories. That's another theme of this year, especially with Janna and a bit of Finn, and with this new character Holland Goth. And Hunter. In Mask of Fear, Mask of Fear had character story in it.
I feel like I got a lot of good Mon Mothma and Bale character out of it.
Yeah, for sure. But it was also
one guy.
Saw the separatist operative. But I mean that was also a bit more of a workplace drama, if you know what I mean. Like the main story driver is Mon Mothma trying to get this bill passed. And then at the end, of course, Masamina says, "Yeah, nice. That's
veto."
That was fun. That was a nice little ride. Very much. I mean, this unofficial Andor tie-in, which I mean that's another thing, right? It's
a spiritual tie-in.
None of these are explicitly tie-ins to stories, but I mean, Master of Evil is a Revenge of Sith at 20 story. You could say that, but yeah, I mean that's the thing. I mean that's the weird thing with the Maul, the Shadow of Maul.
Fear, to be fair, if you want to also make that claim, because it's set the day after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely that's true. It's definitely a Revenge of the Sith at 20 book too, but more so it really gets the tone of Andor. With a lot, I mean, including that amazing Senate episode, that episode 9.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of the culmination. So yeah, really, I don't know what more to say about this other than, if you're looking for a great Star Wars novel, pick any of these, and it's a great place to start.
Yeah.
So yeah, let you go for it.
Yeah, I love the standalone books always every year. It's gonna be interesting because next year it's just gonna be standalone books. Well, no, I mean I guess Reign of the Empire Part 2.
Yeah.
It's technically part of a trilogy. Um, I always kind of forget because it's not written by the same authors. Different
Mhm.
authors were writing it. Um, but yeah, it's we had some overall pretty good years.
Mhm.
But big books this year. Um, I want to make a prediction, by the way, which I
Sure.
probably should have mentioned earlier. I would not be shocked
Mhm.
if Maul Shadow Lord is popular enough.
Mhm.
That gets way more tie-ins than Bad Batch because Maul sells.
That's true.
Um,
That is true.
Bad Batch is popular now, and I
Mhm.
think that's why we're getting a little bit more stuff with like a book
Mhm.
and the comics, which
Yeah.
we can talk about later. But I would not be shocked if Maul got a little bit more even earlier on because
Mhm.
it's Maul. There's always gonna be something about Maul. I mean, that's why they make the Maul show.
Yeah.
Um, 'Cause he's Darth Maul. There's something about it that just will always sell a little bit better. Um,
Yeah.
but that's a whole other discussion for later. Um, but no, I think overall I had a lot of fun. I think everything kind of brought something to the table, regardless. Uh, you know, uh, I do kind of fun. I do. I kind of thinking back now. It's like, wow, that Bad Batch book. I remember reading that kind of when someone told me that this is really good. Like,
Mhm.
oh wow, this is really good. I kind
Yeah.
of was not expecting it to be this good, honestly. Um,
Mhm.
so, because the show was over, it's like, okay. It was like, oh, I kind of I missed the batch. I missed my bad batchers.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously, Mask of Evil was definitely my jam. I love Alexander Freed's work. I can't
Mhm.
wait for him to do something else.
Yeah.
I know I already have ideas of what I want him to do, but I'll let him
Yes.
do whatever he wants.
It's
No,
yeah.
I mean, I want him to do something set during the Clone Wars to just talk about how all the technical ways Palpatine consolidated power, and
Yeah.
how that all works on like a technical level. Um, that's kind of his thing and my thing. Um,
Mhm.
but that's beside the point. And of course, gotta give love to some sequel love, which was nice to finally start seeing a little bit more in book form this year
Yeah.
and next year. Of course. So yeah, always a good slate of really good standalone novels this year overall.
Mhm.
Um, standalone novels are also kind of hard because again, you never know what they're really building up if on or anything. They're standalone. They're kind of just meant to be
Yeah.
one done little character stories and studies, and
Mhm.
that's it. They're not really about telling grand character epics, really.
Right.
Um, 'Cause let's face it, most of these characters can't really have that much impact on. Well, I mean, they can't do much to impact the galaxy just yet. In some cases, right? You
Mhm.
gotta wait 30 years before you
That's
start
true.
making your shakes, your moves, or in the Bad's
Mhm.
case, it's like you can kind of only impact a little bit because Luke Skywalker's not around yet,
Mhm.
or Rey. But yeah, I've always enjoyed a good standalone novel, and I can't wait to see what we get
Mhm.
next year. Well, we kind of know, but
Yeah.
more to
Um,
come.
I mean, your point with Alexander Freed underlines just how much Mask of Fear is a spiritual successor to Darth Plagueis,
Hmm.
right? Just the way it gets at the political intricacies, the complexities of getting a how does a bill become a law, and and I don't mean it goes through a committee and then it goes through goes to Congress and they whatever it's okay. You gotta secure this kind of coalition, these interests. You got to go
Palpatine, you know,
fly to this moon and meet with all these incredibly wealthy people and appeal to their self-interest, and while also maintaining the your left flank on these radicals who are about to basically go off and join Saw. you know uh so yeah, I mean, Mon Mothma, that is the character, Mon Mothma, holding it together. um we will see. I mean, the next one by Rebecca Roanhorse, it's probably going to have Luthen on the cover. It's going to be more explicitly an Andor tie-in, but well, we know an Andor character is going to be on the cover. It's probably Luthen, and
what if it's
yeah,
Lita? That'd be funny.
yeah, that'll be great. Um, yeah, so but most likely Luthen. um, but yeah, well, I mean, Lita, she shows up at the end of Mask of Fear, sort of, in a manner of speaking. So yeah, that also again goes to show, yet again, I mean, broken record about this. Don't give us, I mean, don't give us tie-ins on things that haven't been released yet.
Well, they technically aren't tie-ins. I think I just can't
Right.
count these as tie-ins.
No,
But
well, don't give us tie-ins, but especially don't give us tie-ins of things that haven't been released yet. Give us novels that connect to things on screen that have been released. Let the authors play in the sandbox and think up things after the fact without worrying about the black box. And that's what all these stories show. That I mean, yeah, I mean, yes, Mask of Fear came out before Andor season 2, but we kind of knew where Andor season 2 was going, and yeah, in light of that, so yeah, well, well, I'd say Sanctuary is the classic example of this, right? Um,
I would say
let it.
Aftermath's a better example, honestly, of this problem.
Well, no, Aftermath exemplifies the problem, right?
Oh, okay.
And Bloodline exemplifies the problem. All these books, especially say Sanctuary, exemplify the fact that this is what you can get, this is what you can do when the story is already done on screen. Is you can then take a moment and say, okay, where is this character at this moment, especially Hunter? Where is this character at this moment? What are the interesting tensions and problems and challenges that they're facing? And let's build a story around it. And that's exactly what Lamar Giles did. And that's why it was so great and so surprising, is because it really dug into Hunter in a way that we hadn't necessarily seen before very much, because it's an animated show. It's in all ages. I mean, it's not necessarily, there are definitely some serious themes in that show, especially season 3, but it's an animated show, right? Here we can actually get into his head in a novel. So great example of what you can do, similar, kicking off a trilogy. Mask of Fear kicking off a trilogy, this Reign of the Empire trilogy. So
Hope we get another trilogy of books, but it's all written by the same author again.
Yeah,
Those.
would be interesting. Maybe one last thing I'll mention with the mall. Mall works better in any kind of visual medium. I think it works better in a comic.
There were actually some pretty decent mall books back in the day. People,
yeah,
like
the Legends,
down and stuff.
Yeah. My sense though is kind of like Vader. He's this dark brooding, that could. I mean, well, that could work. I mean, if you're gonna do between a comic or a novel. I mean, his appearance is just so striking. The Ralph McQuarrie, not Ralph McQuarrie. Gosh, what's his name?
Doug Chain?
No, the guy who designed him.
I don't remember.
I
don't
met
know.
him in San Diego. He's Canadian. Yeah. Anyway, in the comments, if anyone want to mention that, the guy who designed the Nightlander, in the new Kevin Scott comic. Anyway, that design, that's so striking. Like, I don't need to even look at it. You know what he looks like.
Ian McKaig?
So, yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. So I can see that as a comic. But before we move into comics, any last thoughts on novels?
No, they kind of don't really fit in. The standalone novels never really fit into anywhere, because like the standalone novels are kind of just that, standalone novels. They're not really meant to be like, this is the future, or this is the past.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a little bit you can kind of get a sense with like some sequels, with a sequel trilogy Finn novel the next year. So a little bit of that, but they're always fun.
That's true. Yeah, again, the last Order, and then the novels coming out next year. The Leia Rey novel.
Last year's standalone novels. Forgot,
honestly. The Mace Windu.
Right.
Yeah, the Glass Abyss.
And the Council one. Yeah.
Living Force. So
there used to be a lot of there were more. There were more. I feel like there were more standalone novels this year than there were last year.
Because there were less High Republic novels.
And maybe that's right.
That's part of it. Yeah. So, all right. I think, was I going to say another thing? Also to say, I mean, that's the thing, is we don't need to be in this grand direction. I mean, yes, we need Lucasfilm to have a direction, But one of the directions is to say, okay, let's do this Reign of the Empire trilogy. Let's do more sequel era stories. But it's also what they've always done is if an author comes to them, pitches them a good idea, they're willing to take a not a chance on it. They're willing to consider it. They're willing to work with it. So there we go. Especially if they have a track record of having published already.
Right.
So there you go. Lastly, hopefully not end on too big of a downer, but
I mean, the actual quality of the stories, for one.
yeah, we got to talk about comics. The mixed bag here. In addition to High Republic mentioned above, I'll start off with first with Dark Horse. A few short but pretty fun, I'd say, all ages runs from Dark Horse under the Hyperspace Stories title. So we saw the expansion of this Hyperspace Stories title into not just anthology, but into an anthology of short runs. So we had Bad Batch Ghost Agents, right? Again, bringing us, but Michael Morrissey bringing us back to the Clone Wars, also getting us, I think picking up on the show, that popularity, but really nailing their voice. Ethan Sachs Codebreaker, sorry, another sequel era. Give us an early Poe Dameron story. You get Tales of the Nightlands by Kevin Scott, doing all three eras in this tale, bridging all three eras. And George Mann's Qui-Gon original graphic novel finally releasing in March, which was pretty good, but I don't know why it took that long. Yeah, Dark Horse, especially. I mean, the thing with the hit or miss with Dark Horse is the release schedule keeps moving. They plotted out like they have it announced until like March, April. Well, they already but until April, I think, maybe even May. But those things can move, and Codebreaker kept moving and moving. So that was the hit or miss with Dark Horse.
Marvel's thing problem. You don't know, but at least you'll get it when it comes out.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But, like, what do you want? Do you want to know way in advance, but then like move it, or do you want to know like the month before? But at least you'll get it.
Well, yeah. Well, with the Marvel lists, we know it's a few months out, but because the March solicits are due on Thursday, but I mean, I mean, with Codebreaker, it was hard because Chris and I had to kind of reread the previous things. So it was months. It was months and months until issue number 4 came out. So, yeah, and then of course, the Qui-Gon graphic novel that was announced in New York Comic Con 2023, and it kept getting moved and kept getting moved. So some
things had delays.
Yeah. It's kind of that. But also, I mean, short stories could have used some more issues. In some ways, Ghost Agents, so Rogue Agents is coming out in January. Is it January? Hopefully. Maybe it's hopefully so, or maybe I think maybe a little bit later. But yeah, so the Bad Batch, Michael Morrissey is continuing the Bad Batch story, which shows those characters. That's what I was going to say about Maul. Maul is a legacy character now.
Maul's always been a legacy character. He's been a legacy character since 2000.
Sure, but I mean, like, because he was a film character, but like he's a legacy character of a trilogy that came out a while ago, and so that's why. Yeah, there you go. So yeah. Anyway, Marvel is where things get really hit or really miss, hot or cold. Which maybe that's not fair, but some things. There's something that are really some big question marks, but I'll start with the hits. Charles Soule's Legacy of Vader has Kylo Ren retrace his grandfather's journey. Mark Guggenheim's Jedi Knights follows Qui-Gon as he confronts a specter of his past, and issue 10 is this week. And that's interspersed with some intriguing anthology issues and really different ideas, creative ideas. Ronnie Barnes' Han Solo Hunt for the Falcon has the Heart of Gold Smuggler also confront the past, albeit memories of family and the perils of aging. and that one wrapped up. That was a 5-issue run.
No, it's not done yet. It's not. Is it?
Oh no, maybe not.
We're on issue 4. We haven't hit
Sorry,
issue 4.
sorry, my
That's
brain isn't.
next year.
Well, my yeah, probably. For some reason, I thought it was done. No, because my you know what it is, because issue 5 is like the cover for issue 5 is on the back of issue 4. So like, okay, seeing where that's going. Anyway, Alex Segura's Star Wars picks up the New Republic story after Jakku, and not to be forgotten, Cherish Chen's Dr. Aphra Chaos Agent takes Charlie on a tour with legacy characters, and then gets interesting at the end with her sister. So there you go. Legacy of Vader. I mean, in any other year, Legacy of Vader has a shot at being the best comic of the year, and this year, I mean, I don't think it's close. Joel, I don't know if you think it's close, but if someone said they prefer Jedi Knights more, I could totally see it. But between those two, Hunt for the Falcon.
I really enjoy that one. Actually.
Yeah, Hunt for the Falcon is great, but it's only 5 issues. It's not, it's not this bit longer of a story, but more involved.
I don't know. I mean, I'll say this: I remember when there was like a Han Solo mini in the early years, and I think that was actually one of my favorite comics of that year over the main line.
Yeah, that was a good one too. The one where he's racing, right?
Yeah.
I think that might be Rodney Barnes too. No, that's Double or Nothing. It's the Lando one. Anyway, yeah, I mean, Hunt for the Falcon is also doing great.
I'm not putting that above Legacy Vader, but I'm definitely saying that's great.
So it's good. Yeah, I mean, with Alex Segura's Star Wars and Cherish Chen's Dr. Aphra, I mean, I don't mind Star Wars. I don't mind it. I'm not calling it ongoing. It's only going to be 10 issues. And Cherish Chen's Dr. Aphra, that's done. That one was way over reliant on legacy characters, and also over reliant on the fact that she's just the most popular character, a comic original character we've gotten. And yeah, it only got interesting with her sister in the last issue, and it tried to say, "Oh, hey, it's Luke. Look, it's Chewie." Now I will say the idea of Chelly kind of being part of this, being conscripted into this this New Republic organization operative group to go and find ancient relics and ancient artifacts is interesting, but we needed a break from Chelly as much as we need her to like kind of go out on top at the end of Alyssa Wong's run. And so this was a bit of a miss in terms of actually we don't need this right now. And then with Alex Segura, I mean, you rate this one a bit lower. I don't mind it. It's really well, here's another thing. The Leia Mon Mothma story is the most interesting, and yet what we mostly get is the Han and Luke and Bylert and them. So it had the opportunity to start to tell the New Republic story, but it's first of all, it's a bit too disjointed. It's hard to follow how everything holds together. It does kind of with the species. It's kind of revolting and pushing back on this whole thing in the federal sector. I think the idea was that for it to be a real ongoing, but this is the story of this year. That in December 2025, when it comes to comics, we are right back where we were this time last year. Is what is the future? These runs are not ongoings. These are 10, 12 issue runs. Is that the future? Is that only all Marvel wants to do? I had a thought about this. Maybe I mentioned it here. They're switching from an analogy from like a 25, 50, 75 issue run. That's a TV series, right?
An old school TV series.
Right? Like, yeah, from back when these comics were that long too. But a 10, 12 issue run, that's not even a contemporary streaming series. That's a novella, right? That's sort of a novel, if you will. And so maybe we have to reconceptualize what these comics are going to do in that we want them to really, I mean, we're used to them really filling out these major gaps, right? We're used to, especially between the films of the original trilogy, that's what we're used to. Uh, Kind of like the Mandoverse filling out this era after Jakku. But maybe we have to think in terms more in terms of they're going to be more like novels, which they're going to pick a plot point and tell a character story in that plot point, and that might, yeah, again, that might be have the recalibration. I hope I'm wrong. I still really want that Obi-Wan Anakin Palpatine story. That Charles Soule did give a little bit of a hint at in his 4-issue run, but I mean, the closest thing we got, and that's something with Legacy Vader. It's kind of doing that. I mean, you often point out we don't know what the time elapsed it is.
I still don't think much time has passed.
You don't think much time has passed? I think story wise, character wise, I do think it is setting up the return of Ben Solo. But I agree that a lot has to happen before that. And then everything, how he has to get back to the Knights of Ren and all that. But yeah, it's the closest we've gotten to really filling out a new story. Cat sighting, gotta love the cat sighting.
Not sure what to do.
Yeah, so it's close. We've gone to kind of bridging films, but I mean, here's the thing with Jedi Knights, it's not doing that. It's
a fun little anthology.
Yeah, it's a fun little anthology. It's a Qui-Gon story. It's sort of
should add more Atha Prime.
Yeah, more Atha Prime. It's also, I mean, it's kind of hinting at, preparing Qui-Gon for his death a little bit, but only implicitly. So, yeah, maybe that's kind of the recalibration we have to do. I don't like that. I want them to take a chance on a long run, but
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I just don't think, honestly, long runs are that interesting with anything they have to cover anymore. Like, I actually don't even think a long run in between episode 1 and 2 is that exciting, because there's not really supposed to be anything that happens. All there really is, it's just kind of episodic adventures. Even with, like, at least with the long runs in between the trilogy movies, you had the scope of the war, of the Galactic Civil War. Sort of like with Clone Wars, you had the scope of the war to last you 3 years. There's no grand event happening. It's just, yeah, stuff is happening.
Yeah.
It's just like episodic adventures. It's like if you want to do episodic adventures, that's fine. They used to have like this was back in my day with Legends. They did have like a series of young adult novels of Anakin's early years as a Padawan,
right?
Which were kind of like these little, young adult novels that kind of had little mini adventures and very cute. And the covers are fascinating because they kind of like digitally morph Hayden and
So like that Rogue Planet novel?
No, but maybe no. I think
because that's the one cover that has the transition. I think.
Yeah, maybe it was Rogue Planet, but oh shoot, I'm forgetting Kid Anakin's actor's name.
Jake Lloyd.
Jake Lloyd together.
Okay. It's your turn to forget something for me to remember.
No, I mean, we always forget things.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't even see the same thing between 6 and Mando Episode 1. I don't see them as the same thing. They're not these hard tent pools. They're just kind of like, that's the show starts. Even then, it's not like a big change point in Luke's life. The big change point in Luke's life is probably A, when he gets Ben Solo to be his apprentice, and then B, when Ben Solo turns on him. We're kind of in this place right now where it's like, yeah, nothing really big happens to these characters, and they kind of just do go on episodic, smaller scale adventures for the next 20 years before things really go downhill for them fast. At least that's kind of where Legacy Vader, I think, at least kind of strive, because it does have two big, firm plot points, a la the sequels, to kind of tell adventures in, where it's like Kylo Ren's now the Supreme Leader, and while Hey, my cat's eating something she shouldn't be doing.
I don't know.
Stop that.
Yeah.
Well, and Palpatine returns and he hears the voice. Um,
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Remove my cat out of the
Sure.
way. Hey, don't that.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry, my
I
cat keeps eating my. But so
that's right.
I just don't think that the
Mm,
place where these stories are being told can really even
mhm,
support something long run without having to retroactively make something up. Like say there was a
mm.
massive big galactic crisis, which can't happen, or just do episodic adventures. Like a series of books
Mm,
about Anakin Obi-Wan's adventures in between episodes
mm.
2 and 3 would be fun. I don't know if I want a
We're
70
running to.
run comic issue run, honestly. I actually might get bored with that really quick.
I mean, you wouldn't be alone, right? That's the reason why Marvel is really hesitant to do that is because issue. I mean, I think this is kind of what you're saying. Issue 53 is not a starting off point. You need starting on points. You really want to pick it up and for to make the dollars. I will say,
I don't think it's story wise it's very interesting either, to be quite honest. I'm,
see, I really want to see the Palpatine grooming Anakin story.
See,
And
I
that
don't
is
think there is a story. I think there's multiple stories. I think it's like little episodic
yeah.
vignettes.
And so I mean, you could do different arcs that kind of do time jumps or something. That's
I'd rather just have
possible.
me put books in that thing. I think they have an
Maybe
ongoing story.
maybe they're better as novels. I don't know, but I do want to see. I don't know. Like I do think my point is there's still story beats to be told. I will say maybe that's where I mean what we got primarily between episodes 5 and 6 are these crossover events.
And you
this whole
have, of
Kira.
course, the two big tentpoles of 5 and 6. So you kind of have you have direction to go.
You do, but within that, Charles had this whole Crimson Reign
I
saga
do.
that kind of petered out at the end, but
That was Dark Droids. I thought the actual
yeah,
Crimson
well,
Army.
yeah, ends with Dark Droids, which was fine.
I
Some
don't
of
even
the parts
consider
of it were
Dark
great.
Droids. I don't even consider Dark Droids the same thing. I'm going to be honest. I consider it sort of
No,
like a
yeah,
show,
yeah,
just
that's true.
different.
It was kind of this fourth,
Mhm.
but it was kind of this second thing off of the Crimson Saga. But yeah, I mean, I think the practical. I do think there's story there, and a good author can find the story there. It's just
I don't think it
the
needs to be a long run.
right. Well, that's possible. Um, I just think it can be and it could be. It's just the practicalities of it don't bear that out. So yeah, I mean, the recalibration of that. See what they do. I mean, see what they might announce at I don't know what's the next con. I guess San Diego, um, Toronto Comic Con. They'll do a this whatever how many 20,000 people come to Toronto Comic Con. They'll do that. No, I'm just kidding. Um, yeah, it's an interesting moment of transition. Uh, I want to shout out. Joel, you'll agree with this shout out. That really great interview I did with Brandon. Speaking of Edmonton, uh, variant edition, just talking about the comic book industry and the changes in the real world and how uh, that's really made Marvel and Dark Horse and them and DC and everyone a lot more cautious and a lot more. Let's see where things stabilize. So now that things are starting to stabilize more, maybe they'll be willing to do something longer, maybe or not. Lastly, I do think with the Alex Agura run, this I'm convinced by. I think Alex had the idea of doing the New Republic story. That the Leia Mon Mothma story and making that the focus. But Lucasfilm realized, no, we're saving that for when the Mandoverse is done. Not necessarily because of anything that might affect it, except to say that we know Ahsoka season 2 is gonna be big about the New Republic. And so, learning the lesson of not giving us stories before the paper. Not giving us paper stories before the screen story is done. That's
And
kind of my point with the
I kind of
novels.
don't even see this. I see. I disagree. I think that has nothing to do with it. Honestly, I don't think
Uh,
Manaverse has anything to do with the comics at this point.
well,
I just
okay,
think
but
my honest opinion is
yeah,
I think they didn't like Battle of Jakku because most people don't like that story, and they said,
sure.
yeah, maybe you should just stop after 10, get
Yeah,
somebody else.
that it didn't sell as much.
And people just didn't like it. Like, all right, I don't think it's a very good
Uh,
story.
it was interesting. It went fast.
I just don't.
Um,
No, I just don't think it was very good, and
right.
it really screwed up the continuity, which people also were mad about.
People were mad about that. People were mad about a bunch of things. Yeah, I mean that all we're getting at here. Then there are real questions about where Star Wars comics is going. Yeah, because of the mixed quality and the mixed bag. Um, maybe that's the thing. Legacy of Vader and
Legacy of
Jedi
Vader
Knight.
12, and I think it's the best written thing ever. So I don't think length matters. I just think make it good.
Right. Well, my point being, Legacy Vader and Jedi Knights may be the signpost, and Marvel is going to say to these authors, look, Charles and Mark did such a bang up job, and Rodney even a shorter run,
Mhm.
that this is the direction we're going to go. And I mean, that's the thing is, in a few months they're going to have the collected edition and then the omnibus, and really call it a graphic novel, and away we go. I mean, that's the surprising thing with I've said this on Tractor Room. I think that's the surprising thing with hyperspace stories is why that the Qui-Gon one took so long. The Grievous one I think is supposed to come out. Maybe did it come out? No, it didn't come out. The Grievous one's supposed to come out eventually, um, soon. And there's an Obi-Wan one and different. I mean, that medium, that kind of package, single one shot. I mean, it's all ages original graphic novel. I mean, those do well because I mean that's the thing. A lot of folks really. I mean, here's the question you have for Chris and me all the time is what's the experience of reading a comic book month to month versus in a short time frame. And my immediate answer is it's always better reading it back in a short time frame because you get the feel of the full story. So, there's still going to be the single issues; those are still going to come out. But um, my gut is now telling me that Marvel and Dark Horse, but Marvel and especially Marvel is going to, for Star Wars especially, but yeah, probably even for Marvel comics, like I'm got Psylocke and by Alyssa Wong actually, and some others. Um, they're going to prioritize these 10 to 12 issue runs because they want to say, here is a complete story that you can read in a week or whatever. Here,
And
enjoy.
I'll be honest. I think for what the eras we're focusing on now, I think
Yeah.
that's the way you go. I think it's more interesting
Mm,
just to have the adventures of Han, Luke, and Leia post
mm,
Endor without a big galactic war kind of hovering over your head, and just have a
yeah.
bunch of little mini crises all going on
Mm,
instead of like some in between the big events and kind of
yeah.
the looming threat of the Empire. I think that's how you do it, honestly.
Yeah, given where the story spaces are now, yeah. Um,
I mean, that's how I
although
do Anakin Obi
I
Wan.
do wonder,
I like event.
is there some other uh obviously not the big three in the Clone Wars, but is there some other character that you follow through the Clone Wars, and that could be a bit longer of a story? But I mean, make that a 25 issue run then, or something. I mean, Charles Soule's Vader was 25 issues, so yeah, it's an interesting to see. So all that to say is yet another. I mean, all of these media that we've talked about tonight, 2025 really marked a major transition point in
Oh, can I add one more thing
new
before we
streaming. Yeah,
kind of wrap it all up in a nice bow?
sure.
Is that it's funny that also
Hmm.
it is also kind of funny that in some weird way, some sort of cosmic way, maybe the
Hmm.
exception of Ahsoka, I guess, in the Filoni film, Star Wars movies are kind of also going this way as well. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, Starfighter,
Hmm.
NGO, Mando and Grogu.
Yeah,
Well, Mando and Grogu, they are aiming to be these single one and done stories that you can watch in 2 hours.
yeah.
They're not part one of a trilogy. I mean, Mando's technically a series, but I have a feeling the Mando movie is gonna really stand on its own to the point where you probably didn't even need to watch the show.
Yeah.
That's my gut reaction. Starfighter might do the Ray at the end cameo, which I'm still
Hmm.
199% convinced about, but it's still very much a standalone movie. You can pick it up, watch it,
Hmm.
move away. Ray and Geo could be a little bit more weird because I feel like that could
Yeah,
be more of a setup to a trilogy if that Kindred
yeah.
thing is coming up. But even then, and then Dawn of the Jedi also sounds like a standalone. Here's the origin story of the Jedi. Enjoy.
Hmm.
Maybe the scales are different in terms of their epicness, but they're
Yeah.
not part one of 20. They're just kind of these standalone stories. And maybe like
Hmm.
single like the standalone one and done books. And maybe that's just where Star Wars is going in general. Standalone one and done books slash
Hmm.
stories.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the story. The overall story is that we're not going to concern ourselves with overall stories right now. uh, I do think they'll get back there, right? Star Wars
I know
always,
Kinberg trilogy's happening eventually one day, so
yeah, and what is the grand story? Uh, you know, after Rise of Skywalker, after
mhm.
Exegol. But yeah, no, I definitely I see what you mean. I mean, that seems to be the story, is this transition. I mean, with High Republic ending, right? Um, and then like as I mentioned with Andor ending, with Ahsoka probably ending. Yeah, that seems to be the way things are going. I mean, the probably the biggest novel I'm looking forward to is what was Leia and Ray's training like? That's just this question, this single question. That's going to be. Let's have an interesting story about that. So, and like we saw this past year, those have been really successful. Those kinds of novels, those
it's been
kinds of
fun.
comics. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, spectacular. Um, Again, I do think Legacy of Vader. You might disagree with this a little bit, but Legacy of Vader is this last vestige of let's move a character from point A to point B.
No, I 100%
Um,
agree with that because I think it's the only one that can kind of do it.
okay, so you don't disagree that Ben's return is somehow inspired in like that Charles was kind of moving Kylo towards that.
I don't think it's going to be as prominent as you think it is, but I definitely think
No, I don't. I never said it's going to be an explicit thing, right? But kind of retracing Vader's steps in a way of saying maybe, well, even what we saw in issue 11, right? Of him saying saying no more. I mean, this is a great moment. This is kind of what I mean. This is maybe exactly what I mean by that. Um, the whole forget potential. I want to be me, right?
now
That
that what does
is
that mean to him? Who knows what that means? It potentially
no,
might
well,
be
because he doesn't know what that means yet, but in a number of months he'll know it means.
right.
I'm gonna throw this black red lightsaber off the ship, and I'm gonna go and save Ray. you know, so yeah, there's still gonna be a bit of that, but I agree. It's maybe more interesting to, or not maybe it's more interesting, but well, here's the question, and we're getting kind of long here, but the big criticism that
Mhm,
we always talk about, that we always hear,
mhm.
sequel trilogy didn't have a plan. So they're definitely taking a break from having a plan. It seems, other than the one that John Favreau and Dave Filoni cooked up for the Mandoverse. But I think
And I'm gonna,
our point here is that
I
that's
think there's a bit more of a plan for the post-Exegol series. I think in kind of a broad strokes
sure,
thing. That's just
but
my.
they're not digging into it just yet.
Oh no,
Yeah,
no.
and they're not fleshing it out just yet. And with the Mandoverse, they're wrapping that up.
Right.
So
No, yeah,
yeah,
you're right.
so it's interesting. It's interesting. I guess. So then here's the last question. Then
Okay.
we won't do our favorites. We've kind of along. We kind of mentioned them already anyway. Um, are you optimistic? Are you hopeful about that trend, or are you kind of concerned? Or are you excited by these possibilities?
I think this is honestly what they should have probably started with in the first place.
Yeah,
I mean, I get why they did the sequels because we lost Carrie before we could, who
yeah.
knows what
There's
would
that.
happen. Wait, but honestly,
Mhm,
yeah, I think this is how you probably should do it, man. Like,
mhm.
Marvel, everyone thinks of Marvel like the grand plan. Although I'm kind of thinking although when you really break it down, I think they were more fast and loose than you give it credit for, than people want to admit. Um,
Mm.
but
Like the MCU, you mean? Or
yeah, MCU.
yeah,
Yeah, MCU, not Marvel
yeah,
Comics, the
yeah.
MCU. Um, but when they started their whole thing, it was just here's an Iron Man movie, and then maybe we'll make a Hulk and a Thor, and then we'll see how those do. People loved Iron Man. Okay, we're going to green like a second one right away,
Mm-hmm.
and then Hulk and Thor they were fine. People like Hulk, Thor enough to make a sequel, and then Captain America, and like once they were like that, like okay, 5 movies in, now let's try something big with Avengers,
Yeah,
right? Um, so maybe that's maybe in
yeah.
general, maybe it's time to just kind of like slow down,
Mm.
just have some one and dones, see what people like, see what's sticking. Kind of, definitely on the movie side. Maybe this
Yeah,
doesn't apply for the other stuff, but definitely on the movie side and the screen side, like Mandalorian Grogu. People love the Grogu. Don't underestimate the Grogu. I still say it's cheap. It's still a low budget film, so even if it makes solo money, that's still kind of a win.
yeah.
If it makes even a little more than solo money, that's even more of a win. Starfighter, again, it's not promising the start. It's the start of the Exegol era, but it's not really. Well, who knows how they're going to market it? But it's not really promising like the
Mm.
start of the next saga. You
Yeah.
know, it's like with Ryan Gosling. Maybe Ray showed up at the end. I still think so. And then even the Ray New
Mm.
Jedi Order trilogy, it's not here's the Ray trilogy. Did I say New
Mhm.
Jedi Order trilogy? New Jedi Order movie. Sorry.
Yeah.
Here's the next trilogy. Like, nope. Here's a Ray film. Maybe stuff from it will appear in
Mhm.
a trilogy. Who knows how far in the future that trilogy is actually going to be? For one
Yeah.
thing, and if people like it, then yeah, you make more of it, and like then you make a sequel. So like, kind of like don't promise the moon. In fact, I would even argue in some ways, the more you have a plan and the more you commit to one thing, the more it
Mm.
could end in disaster. Because that's what happened with Warner Brothers under Snyder, where Warner
Hmm.
Brothers like, after Man of Steel, like they were like, which was polarizing at best.
Mhm.
Um, they were like, okay, Zack Snyder gets Batman versus Superman and 2 Justice League movies, a whole saga, and everyone hated Batman versus Superman. It actually lost the money,
Yeah.
and it imploded DC Universe up until James Gunn finally took over last
Yeah.
year. And
Yeah.
even James Gunn, I'm sorry, I'm tangenting to other franchises, but I think that's as
No, there
important.
it's illustrative, so keep going.
But even James Gunn,
Mm.
who is always talked about like, look, I'm not really doing like a grand saga thing. Like we have like maybe
Mm.
like a little bit of an over idea of what we want to do,
Yeah.
but like you know, I mean, yeah, some movies will connect with others. Like it's kind of lucky that Supergirl's kind of the next one, so it's kind of like yeah, Supergirl and Superman are kind of
Mhm.
interconnected. But there's no like grand saga to Avengers or
Mhm.
Justice League. It's sort of like here's Superman, Supergirl, and then the movie after that has nothing to do with anything, which is a clayface horror low budget film,
Mhm.
which again is like really going to be low budget. Apparently, it doesn't need to make a lot of money. It probably will because DC's making a good chunk of change. But sort of like
Mhm.
we're not really making a grand narrative. We're just kind of doing these one and done. Maybe they'll get sequels. And obviously Superman was successful, so they are greenlighting a sequel right away. and kind of building a world before it's like, James Gunn's not like Superman, Superman 1, Superman 2. Like Superman, Supergirl. Superman did well. Okay, let's start the sequels.
Yeah.
So kind of more of that steady approach, which I actually think is smart and actually is what probably should how you do it. That's
Mhm.
how you build your cinematic universes. You kind of just like, and then maybe when you're confident enough or you got enough juice, you can do a trilogy. But like, yeah, just kind of like one at a time, step by step. Don't plan. I feel like the more you plan, honestly, the more you're setting yourself up for failure. So just
Hmm.
one project at a time, people. Maybe two
I
by
mean,
different people.
or if anything, right? I mean, having the broad strokes, the general idea, and but not having everything so nailed down, locked down. Again, with something like High Republic, they were in constant contact. There's a publishing initiative, but even that evolved over time.
Hmm.
What I will point out is Nick Fury in Iron Man. What he does is to say, yeah, look, and this again, John Favreau. This is John Favreau, right? This is relevant here. Uh, he, what Nick Fury does is come in and promise, open up the possibility of something vague and something we don't
Oh, and
quite.
they knew it was vague when they made Iron Man. Like they had no idea what that was even going to entail, but they
Yeah,
just kind of wanted
there
to be like.
was an idea.
And it was an end
What's the idea?
credit sequence, and it was after the credits. So it's like if you left after before the
Yeah,
credits, it's like, well, Iron Man's a fun movie. Who cares about what they're
yeah,
doing?
like the inventing the post credit sequence
Right.
scene. But so that, I mean, that kind of gives credence to your A theory. Then is, uh, I mean, a few things. We really got to wrap up now. A few things,
Sorry.
it opens up again. It opens up the possibility of something without promising it.
Mhm.
I mean, the Plagueis thing in Acolyte, similar thing, right?
Right.
They hope they could. I mean, Leslie hoped to make a second season.
Mhm.
They would like to have a more, some kind of comprehensive, coherent plan. The other extreme, of course, is the sequel trilogy with Rise of Skywalker, kind of negating, well, frankly, just negating a lot of things that Ryan Johnson set up, right? But yeah, you do this standalone. This is the story we're focusing on. Let it be good enough on its own, and that's
If
the
it's good
thing.
enough, give it a sequel. If Mandalorian Grogu makes a lot of
Yeah,
money, you know that's getting a sequel.
sure,
Mandalorian Grogu 2, the
but like
Grogu naming.
at the end, include a little hit to say, "Here's the possibility of something else. We don't even fully know what yet. We may have some ideas, but
Mhm.
uh, there's the possibility. And if it's pretty strong, pretty popular, guess who's gonna take up the torch? It's you and me on the internet here saying, yeah, we want this, we want this, we want
They kind of
this.
tried to do that with Solo, but then Solo bombed, and then
Yeah.
'cause Solo can
Um,
work as a standalone with a promise of something vague.
I mean, they definitely did that with the Acolyte. Again, they
I
did
know
that
that's
with
it.
Plagueis, right? But that didn't make what they wanted it to make, and it was again part of this transition out. So yeah, I can see them having Ray show up at the end, and we'll see what she doesn't going to promise anything specific, but yeah,
Welcome to my
here,
Jedi
well, because
Academy, kid.
and here's the thing is they find it as they go, like they
Mhm.
find the plan as they're doing it. I mean, again, this is the contrast with High Republic,
Mhm.
because this is such a much far more, the scale of cost, is scale of production, everything is incomparable.
And
um
different. It's like it's not like
yeah,
one director's doing all of it.
yeah. Or a team that's in constant contact and is willing to coordinate. uh you know that's, I mean, that's, High Republic worked so great. They were all willing to really play ball. They were a team. Call it Team Luminous for a reason. You
Well, and
get
that's
these.
all one story too. I don't
Yeah,
think all of this is all the movies are one story.
no, but
Each
I'm
one universe,
saying,
one story.
um they're not going to have what, I mean, Marvel Phase 2 maybe. They're not going to have this intentionally so interconnected story just yet. Right.
Right.
This is maybe what you're saying. And so they've finally realized that. And it's the I mean it's the case with the novels, right? It's gonna be, and like we're saying, it's gonna be the case with the comics. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm a little disappointed just because I love the big sprawling story,
I
but I
can.
also understand. I mean, what we're getting at is just how hard it is. That's why the High Republic again is so darn impressive, because it's so darn difficult to finish a story that
Mm.
convincingly, that satisfyingly.
I'm gonna be
That
honest.
yeah,
I think I don't, because this is why I like DC already more than all of Marvel. And start going back to
yeah,
Phase One, where Gunn's
yeah,
like, "We're just gonna do a kind of whatever. We're gonna go
yeah,
backward in time. We're gonna go forward. We're gonna do in betweenies."
yeah. Well, there's the exciting possibilities, right?
Yeah. And Star Wars is very good at that. I think
Yeah,
Dawn of the Jedi. That's way back.
A New
Okay,
Hope,
that too.
the Star Wars. George
Yeah,
Lucas didn't quite, you know,
yeah,
the prequels were different, but
yeah.
it's one guy. So, yeah. But yeah, we've gone long. It's interesting how we reflecting on the past, but really trying to seeing what the trend for the future is.
And I guess
That's
we
a
asked her to Brandon's question about
yeah, yeah,
Marvel and DC.
yeah,
Supergirl,
um,
let's go.
yeah. I mean, look, I've laid to rest my joking rivalry here, and I've been like, okay, yeah, I'm excited for Supergirl. Yeah, the James Gunn has convinced me to like this. No, he twisted my rubber arm.
Yeah.
There we go. Anyways, I think that's about it. Again, we've gone a bit long, but yeah, it's a good place
Yeah.
to wrap up.
All right. Like you said, I think it's a good place to wrap up. Thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know what you thought in the conversation tonight. Comment below. Let us know what's your favorite book, what's your favorite comic, what's your favorite screen thing. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I know some people who love Skeleton Crew more than Andor, so it could be competition. Maybe visions. Um. Also, please do give this video a like, share, and subscribe. And next week, oh wait, I'll do that after the plugs. Of course,
Yeah.
follow us on Ion Canon Blue Sky, EYEONCANON dot social at the SWU. Follow us on the SWU Discord, Gay Night,
Mhm.
Movie Nights, and more. Um, and of course, follow the Star Wars Underworld Blue Sky. I post there a lot, and I post a lot on the Facebook. And Dominic, if
Mhm.
you're listening, never. You should know what that means if you watch this.
I don't know if
Uh,
he's listening. That's okay.
but he that or just tell him that for me,
Okay.
Matthew. Tell him never. He
Okay.
shall know what I mean.
Um,
And yeah, follow us there. And next week we're gonna
mhm.
talk about
Can I
symbol.
plug?
Oh yeah,
Can I
plug.
plug myself and
Oh yeah, plug.
yourself?
Dang it, I forgot to plug you.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
we can't. Yeah, go ahead.
No plugs, no self plugs. Well, I will say, Joel and Ben, uh, when I get the solicits in, I'll I'll send over whatever seems newsworthy to go up on the Underworld socials,
Watch it
especially
not make
Instagram
sense.
and
Unfortunately, watch it.
or it, yeah. Well, if there's nothing,
Oh yeah.
then that'll be what I'll let you guys know. And you guys, so keep an eye out there, and then the tractor beam, tractor beam Blue Sky. But you can follow my personal Instagram threads in Blue Sky MNUG1138, personal Twitter NUG45, and yeah, tractor beam this Wednesday. Young Jedi Adventures, Trees of Kashyyyk, Jedi Knights number 10, Tales from Nightlands number 3, and then whatever may or may not come from the solicits. Uh, we'll see there. But yeah, check that out right
Im-
here.
Imagine if the solicits announce these new things and there's no like official press. Like you find out about the next run of Star Wars ongoing through the solicit, and it's like, well, nothing, just crickets.
I wouldn't put it past him. Wouldn't put it
Ah, it'd
past
be
him.
hilarious. Or the next Legacy Vader sequel thing, which I
Yeah.
hope happens.
Yeah.
Okay, now we can do next week.
Yes.
Next week, symbolism in Star Wars, such as that symbol on your shirt right there, and
Yeah. Yeah.
there's
Actually,
also
it's two different symbols. So the other thing that happened 2025 Resistance Fest
oh
already
yeah,
begin. So yeah,
so
this is a
yeah.
maple leaf and a rebel logo.
Okay, so yeah, you got those that symbol there. And but also symbols such as the clone helmets, cis lightsabers, etc., etc. Could
Mhm.
be fun in one of our more intellectual conversations. So happy Force Awakens at 10, Revenge of the Sith at 20. Celebrate as you will,
Mhm.
and let's blow this thing and head home.